Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host Donnie, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Deucy.
Hello, everyone.
Deucy, how are you on this fanciful dual recording day? People don't see that behind the scenes, but we recorded 2 episodes today.
Well, now I am fed and I am sleepy.
If you listened to our episode last week, because this will be in the future technically, we covered Resident Evil 2 for our bonus episode. Hope you enjoyed that one because I enjoyed the shit out of that episode. I thought it was a great time.
Yeah, we could have gone on and on.
We really could have, and maybe we will someday. I don't know. I'm always jonesing for Resident Evil 2 in some way.
Well, next year's 3.
It is 3. Yeah. I don't know if I'll wait that long, but we'll see. We'll wait that long for 3, but maybe more 2. We'll see. Anyway, for episode 73, we have a fun topic that I came up with. I thought it'd be really fun if we talked about some of our best and most favorite launch games. So we're going to be looking at a bunch of different systems, some of our favorite launch games from that lineup, and we talk a little bit about the lineup themselves because I think that's a whole story in itself that's pretty fun. So yeah, it's going to be a good time.
It required some research because a launch game wasn't always just like the first game you got or the first game that might have come with a system. Like Sonic got packed into a lot of Segas, but he was never a launch game.
Yeah, he technically was not, which, it's interesting because, like you said, Sonic is really the icon of Sega and Genesis, but Genesis existed before Sonic.
Yep.
So that'll be on our list too. So I think it's really fun because we're kind of go through the history of games sort of organically, starting with like the Atari 2600.
Yeah, I tried to line mine up.
That's pretty much what I did chronologically. Yeah, I did the same thing because it also made it easier for me to remember things. But it's also great because it also tells a story in itself where, we look at some of the launch lineups earlier in gaming and they move on where they kind of got more, they want to have more variety, more launch games in general. Like some systems launched with like 3 games, right?
N64 was 2, wasn't it?
2, exactly, yeah. So that's why I think those would be a fun episode because, we didn't play all the launch games, but there were some that I thought were really great. Obviously, there's going to be some that I'll admit were not fantastic games, but I'll obviously disclaim that too because there are some games that really define that launch too, depending on the system.
And others were played way, way later. Like there were
we discovered some much later.
There were some on this list where I was like, I didn't even know that was a launch game. I just eventually played it.
Yeah, I think that's what was fun too to research this was, I have a pretty good recollection of some launches and like what was included there. Like not every game by game, but some of the highlights. So it's fun going back to this list and looking at all what was available at the beginning of a system's beginnings, so to speak.
I realized that up until recently with like the Series X and the Switch 2, both of them thanks to you, I've never gotten a system at launch.
It's really funny it took you that long because I've only gotten a few. I got the Game Boy Advance at launch. My brother's birthday was right around the time of the GameCube launch, so we got that at launch. And honestly, that's probably the earliest I want to say. I didn't get Dreamcast or anything. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like I only got a handful of systems at launch, and now I've been getting more at launch because thank goodness I can afford them, like the Switch 2 and PS5 and all that.
And sometimes it's kind of necessary. Like
like
with my Series X, it was right when my 1 crapped out.
I forgot about that. Yeah. You're like, hey, you still got that pre-order? I was like, I do. Yeah. So there's things like that. So I think it'll be a fun, different episode because, like Deucy mentioned last week in Resident Evil 2, we've been doing a lot of deep dives, which it's always fun. It's always just a ton of work for me too.
We want to bring the information to our people.
Yeah, and also it's fun to have a little bit of variety of episodes. Sometimes we do these we call them loosey gooseys, as Deucy calls them. It's a fun little alliteration with the end there. But sometimes it's fun just to have like a loose episode where we're just kind of talking about games we enjoy. Some of these we won't. They won't warrant a full episode necessarily. So it also gives us an opportunity to talk about games we like that we probably wouldn't normally cover.
Yep.
But before we get to all the launch game goodness, Deucy, what have you been playing?
Well, I've just been sort of coasting along, and after finishing a couple games recently, like the Yoshi one, and now Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, it's crazy. You got 2 Resident Evil games done.
Yeah.
When I was, kind of busting your balls about like finishing Resident Evil 8 half a decade ago and Resident Evil 3 half a decade ago.
Yeah, now
and you knocked 2 of them out in a week.
Yeah.
Couple weeks.
I've just been playing stuff that has no end. Like I got back into NASCAR, or still doing NASCAR. I didn't really step away. Got back into NBA 2K.
I'm surprised about that. Well, I guess because NBA season started, right?
Yeah,
I know that much.
That always happens. In fact, like when football season started, I was this close to finding a football game like a Madden or something.
Yeah,
but I didn't. But when NBA started up, I was like, yeah, let me play this. And it's last year's edition. I don't have 26. I have 25 still.
You probably won't need it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
And I like to, at a certain point, the wacky trading season happens in real life, and then your team doesn't match what's happening in real life. So I just start going into like fantasy drafts and stuff, and I'm like,
I was gonna say, you can edit rosters in that too, technically, right? So you could keep them current in some way, even if 2K isn't updating
you can keep them current. You can, in the main season mode, you can force trades to sort of mimic what happened in real life.
Yeah.
Or before the season even starts, you can call what they call a fantasy draft, and then like nobody is really where they should be. Like all of a sudden LeBron could be on the Washington Wizards for some reason. And like just all these teams redraft everybody available, and then you get like a superstar team, or just, here and there. It's like playing fantasy basketball on an app or something. And I do enjoy doing that sometimes, especially when the years have passed already and I'm playing an older edition, and so that wasn't going to match anyway because like 3 or 4 years.
It's all a fantasy.
Yeah. So I'm like, let me get like the top 5-star players all in my starting bench. But yeah, and also in the NASCAR one, I've gotten my first couple of wins during the season.
Oh, there you go. Moved up from your 15th placing. Yeah. One time you mentioned, yeah.
But my one nitpick now is like they really should have done a little more with the overall presentation, because like when you play F1, that was done by Codemasters. They're really good about like replays and the before and after of races and stuff.
Yeah, like getting the TV pageantry of racing.
Like at the start of the race, they go into who's on what row, and they even call them out by name. Like they have the announcers that are actually doing TV broadcasts. At the end, you see the 3 guys up on the podium, and they start spraying champagne on each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And in NASCAR, I mean, they don't have a podium in real life NASCAR. You have a winner's circle. One guy goes in, but they usually shoot confetti, and the guy is up there cheering, and he's got his little sponsors up on the top of the car. In this, you just sort of pull over to the side, and you get up on the car, and you do one fist pump, and that's
You're the humble winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the humble guy. Like, hey, guys, I beat all of you. And it's here's the fist pump for you back there.
Even in the mid-2000s EA games, they let you do burnouts when you win a race for no reason. It wasn't like bonus points or anything, but that's what they do in real life. They get to the start-finish line, and they just
it's part of the experience.
Yeah, burn down the tires and stuff, and they let you do that in the games. But now, one fist pump. I'm humble.
At least they have opportunity to potentially improve that, because it feels like that's really stock, right? Like it's just sort of like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I'm sure they dedicate development time to other things too, but it's just funny that was sort of their concession. It's like, well, we got to give people some sort of celebration for winning. We can't give them a full burnout or, add a whole sort of ceremony. We'll just give them a fist pump.
I do appreciate that when you create a driver, they don't make you pick a head or anything. They just like put in your name, and now here's a guy in a fire suit and a helmet, and you'll never see his face, so it doesn't have to look like you. Because
I think that's fine, because you're in the car anyway. Like it's unless at a winning ceremony where your character is revealed, like it makes sense not to have that kind of customization.
Yeah, this is okay. So now the one fist pump makes sense.
Yeah. Is that the only stuff you've been
really
chopping into, Deucy?
That's really all that's been it, because I don't know what I want to start next. Oh, I've been playing a little more Captain Toad on Switch.
Oh, Treasure Tracker. Yeah, you've been chipping away at that.
I'm in the final book, and I don't know how many more levels are in that. So I'm pretty close to the end of that one. And I do plan after that to maybe jump back into Luigi's Mansion 2 or 3.
I really would like to finish Luigi's Mansion 3 because, as of this recording, Halloween has not happened yet. And we're getting November, so it's kind of getting out of the horror season for me.
Yeah.
But I still would like to finish it because I played it when it first came out, obviously. I really enjoyed it, and just, the story that repeats itself. It's just something distracted me, and I never went back, unfortunately, because it was a really fantastically fun game for the bits I did get to play in there. Yeah. For what I've been playing, I've been still getting into Battlefield 6 with my friends. It's been a pretty awesome time. They have Season 1 coming out. It would have been out by the time this episode releases. So I'll give impressions whenever that comes out in our next episode, I guess. But that's been really fun with friends. I've also been playing Pokemon ZA still. And now I've been slower on that because I've just been chipping away at night. Like usually, I'll play something else. And then when I kind of wind down before I watch TV and go to bed, I'll play that and it's been perfect. It's just by then it's like I get kind of tired because it's like, 11 o'clock. So it's like, it's just something that Pokemon just has the enough it requires enough focus to where I don't have to be thinking too hard, right? Because I'm really just doing these little battles.
Yeah, it's definitely not like when I watched you play Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah.
Like this is
100 miles an hour.
definitely the unwind compared to that.
It is. It's really fantastic because like it's super basic, right? It doesn't do, outside of the battles, it doesn't really reinvent Pokemon anyway, but it's just such a fun casual thing to just like go around, go to a certain area, collect Pokemon that are in the area because it tells you what you might be missing, like it says like you haven't found XYZ or, these 3. And it's just, it's super slow to start. Like there's a lot of tutorializing in the beginning, which is understandable. So I'm now getting into like the part where it kind of frees you up a little bit. So it's been really, really fun. It's just, I want to dedicate more time to it. It's just, I've been playing everything else like Ghost of Yotei, Battlefield. And also another game that I got into is a beat 'em up done by the Streets of Rage 4 developers. So I was already sold the moment it was announced.
Oh, I saw you share a clip of this.
Yeah, it's called Absalom. It's another roguelite, Deucy.
Oh, goody.
But it is absolutely perfect for me because like Hades, it has it revolves around gameplay that I really enjoy, which is beat 'em ups. Like this is a sort of a fantasy setting. It feels like Streets of Rage in some sense as far as the combat.
The artwork too, sort of.
The artwork is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
The whole fantasy setting it revolves around this sun god. I think his name is Alzo, and the whole idea is like you're going through loops because like the woman who's like the goddess, she's like a tree goddess, like the goddess of the earth, so to speak. She sort of revives you each time, right, to go through the levels, eventually to get to Alzo or whatever it is. And it follows a roguelike structure where, after certain rooms or certain areas, you get to pick an ability, usually enhances your melee or something, or gives you more ability or more magic power, whatever it is. But mixing it with the beat 'em up is one of the most sensible things I think roguelites could do because it makes sense to me. Like it's just beat 'em ups by nature, at least when I think about the arcade ones, you go, again, we talked about this before, it's like you pump a quarter in, you go through however you need, restart, and the structure's the same because it's a beat 'em up. So at the core, it's really down to your skills and how well you can use the combat.
Yeah, think about like Turtles
Splinter
in Time.
Fate again, or Tales in Time. Yeah,
like that. You played the first level in that so much, mostly because there wasn't a save back then. But like, if you died, you started back at the beginning.
Yeah, so it does have the roguelike tropes of being pretty difficult at times because you can breeze through an area and sometimes you might get a bad roll or something, or you might get an ability that may not synergize the way you want it to, and you have to restart. But I think it kind of works for beat 'em ups. And also, just like any other roguelike, there's sort of a perpetual leveling up system, perpetual progression where you can level up your health. You can get boosts to where in between sort of areas you can camp, right, to refill your health. So you get all those boosts too. So there's that incentive. But again, like I'm always hit or miss on roguelites, and it's largely dependent on the gameplay system. And beat 'em ups are just the most sensible thing. It really reminds me of the Streets of Rage 4 survival mode where, if you remember that, where you go through each level, it's this simulation, right? It's sort of like one plane, and then when you beat that sort of horde of enemies, you get a choice of an ability, like something that might give you poison damage or level up your.
It's kind of like in the Turtles Shredder's Revenge. That
yes,
one too.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's a great example, actually. Actually, it's probably more parallel with that as far as difficulty, because I feel like the Shredder's Revenge. What do they call it? Dimension Shell Shocked?
Yeah.
That DLC was harder than the survival mode for Streets of Rage, but I'm also pretty good at Streets of Rage, which is also the difference there.
Yeah.
So I love this game. It's I know it's gotten accolades everywhere so far. Like it's one of the, they say how it's like sort of like reinvents beat 'em ups, which it kind of does, but it's also interesting because again, it mixes everything with the roguelites, which fit really well with the beat 'em up structure. So I've been enjoying the shit out of this one so far, to say the least, because as the gorgeous art style, it's by the Streets of Rage 4 devs. It's only like $20-$25. It has a co-op mode and online matchmaking. So what's cool about co-op is that they resolve some issue that you and I have problems with in some other games, where it's like, let's say if I'm further ahead in the story than you are, sometimes they don't match the progression.
Yeah.
But in this, they've actually gone through the effort of matching progression, so that like if I'm a higher level than you or further in the story, I technically have my leveling and abilities sort of scaled to me, but we're playing on your story file. So anything you catch up to, it technically would have already been completed on mine. And the adverse is true too, where if you played on my file, the difficulty scaled to your level, like your Deucy level 1, and anything you complete on my side would complete on yours and give you the option to play through it again.
Oh, okay.
So it sort of like keeps you in progression while you're in co-op, which I think is great. I haven't tried co-op yet, but I looked at the menu, I was like, that's actually a cool consideration. So making everything disparate and like, if you play a beat 'em up, and especially a roguelike, like you want to keep what you progress on your buddy's file, right? Because that's going to inevitably help you.
Yeah, I've always had an issue with the way co-ops are done these days. Like the ones that are specifically meant for co-op, like It Takes Two and Split Fiction.
Yes.
Those are great because you want to start at the beginning, experience the story together. All the puzzles are there. There's no leveling system, but
Well, it's also tailored like a pure co-op experience. Like you should play from the beginning to end because that's the whole point. Yeah.
And even like in Resident Evil 6, there weren't levels in that either. You could probably hop in and out of that one. But when there are levels involved, it's like nobody gets it. Nobody gets how to do it.
Well, you know who I was thinking actually got it right, and they did it for forever now, is Borderlands.
Okay.
Because I remember when we would play co-op, and I would play with my other buddies where, like, I remember specifically with Borderlands 3, and I think Borderlands 2 did it as well, but it would get to a point where, like, if I joined my buddy's save file, or if he joined mine and he was further ahead, no, I'll say the reverse, where if I was on his file and we did side quests and he was further along, it gave me the option to skip those when I got to them on my personal save file.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how most games have not ripped off Borderlands in that respect, because for you and I, like, we tried Fallout 76.
Yeah.
And we hated the fact that, it was sort of independent progression. And it's like, we don't want that. Like, tally it for both of us.
We were there together, but like
we had to queue the quests individually.
Yeah, that was so bizarre to me. I was like, this is actually the worst way of doing things.
It is, especially when the game is meant to be played co-op, like Fallout 76 is. Like, I enjoy the game for what it is, every now and then. Like, we always say, like, oh, it'd be cool to jump into. But it sucks when the co-op experience is so fragmented where it's like, your progression doesn't really matter for your own sort of purposes.
In the Borderlands example, how do they handle like damage and stuff? Like,
it's scaled to your level. So like, let's say I was level 15 and you joined at 5. The enemies you shoot at are scaled to level 5. The enemies I shoot at are scaled to my level. So it's still sort of independent.
Oh, that's weird.
It's weird.
What if we're shooting at the same thing?
I think it still calculates the same. I think it's an independent instance.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. But that's kind of balances it out too, right? So it's like, you're still playing an independent game, but you're playing co-op and progressing the same rate. And then it's great because when you go back to your save file on, if you're playing single player, it gives you the option. It says, like, do you want to replay this? Because you technically completed it with, whatever. Or you can play through it if you want all over again.
There were some games back in the day where, like, you could jump in and your buddy might be already a higher level and then nothing scaled. So if he jumped into yours, he would just mow through the enemies for you, and like you might be gaining the XP, but it's like,
I know we did that in Diablo 3 because I remember when when myself and our friend Matt were playing that for like a while. He was like in Japan, stationed in Japan, and that was like, we were playing like in the middle of the night. Well, middle of the night for me, probably morning for him. But like we would pick different classes and like, hey, you want to just power level me for a little bit? And like he would kind of stay back and do like bits of damage, and we just level him up so he could kind of get scaled up to where I was, or vice versa.
Yeah,
because that way we could play multiple classes, right? So that's kind of the reverse of what I like, where it's not the reverse of what I like, but it's reverse where it's like, if you want to power level somebody so they can kind of be scaled to you, you can do that. But I also appreciate when you can have a co-op experience with somebody and it's like they can go progress their own way when they get back to their main game and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to Absalom, I was going to say it's really great that they were thinking so far ahead to do that as far as progression, but I just wish more games like Borderlands would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I recommend it. If you like beat 'em ups, which you should. We also have a few episodes on beat 'em ups, which you should definitely listen to. You should definitely check out Absalom. It's worth it. All right, Deucy, I think it's a good time to get to some launch games. All right, Deucy, we're here at our main event, episode 73. We have a fun topic. We're talking, I would say, best launch games, but really this is just like our personal favorite launch games, because some of these I can't say are best games necessarily, but we'll kind of point out the ones that were significant for the launch, right? Like, we won't talk about Mario 64 and not say how great it was for the N64, really just gaming in general, right?
Yep.
So we've compiled the list. We're kind of going generation by generation. We're just kind of talking about why we might like these, or some of the memories we have with them and whatnot, and also just how they relate to the launch of the systems themselves. So we've got a pretty good list. I know there's, we probably won't get through everything because we have quite a bit, especially on my list here. I have about 35 games, 34. That's a pretty solid list. We won't get through all of them. But let's kick off with yours, Deucy, because you put one early one that I almost put on my list. I probably should have.
I wasn't even thinking of this console when you first brought up the topic, and then you sort of posted this thing that listed a lot of launch games for these different systems.
Yeah, nice little cheat sheet, console by console with all the games.
Yeah.
And dates. It's kind of nice.
So when I saw
Pat myself on the back.
Atari 2600 of all things, my dad used to have this a long time ago, but he gave it to his sister. So if I ever went over to my aunt's house, this aunt happened to live way up north, so it was on rare occasion that we got to see him, but she still had it, and we would kind of dig it out and play it. And I remember Combat. Mm-hmm. I was so young, I didn't remember the name of the game back then, but I did remember it was 2 tanks, and you just shot. You had to traverse a maze and shoot at each other, and sometimes you could even bounce the bullets off the walls and try to hit the person.
Yeah, those were the alternate game modes.
Yeah,
because the Atari 2600 had a little switch, a little toggle where each of the carts, at least the carts I had, like they had it would tell you on the front of the cart like the different modes, like you could toggle it, and they would have different sort of modifiers. And Combat was one of them where you could have ricocheting tank shells.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
So I don't know how many hours we spent playing that. I had to have been like 5 or 6 when we were playing this. So it was one of my earlier game memories, a little after my earliest Nintendo memories. And I didn't care that it was Atari. It was just a fun, combative game. It really allowed for competition between like me and my dad or me and my cousin or somebody.
Well, that's what makes it great. Is like it is a very simple game, just both in concept and actual execution of the game. But it's so fun because it's just, you just have you have a single 2D plane, and both of you are like crawling at a tank's pace.
Yeah,
to try to get in a position to shoot each other,
and then trying to turn the tank at a tank's pace.
Yeah, because it really is tank controls like Resident Evil, where it's like you hold left to right, and your tank tilts, and you have to go forward and back with it. Yeah. I would have put this on my list too. Like I almost did, and I just put Atari on here, and then you put it on your list. It's like, well, we may as well talk about Combat. But it's fun because the Atari, I see the launch date here. It's September 11th, 1977, which predates both us.
Oh yes.
But I played the Atari when my dad probably bought an Atari around launch. I think he said like it would have been pretty early. So when my parents owned a deli when I was a kid, they try to keep us occupied in the back with this Atari, which was pretty cool. So we played a ton of games, and Combat was one of them. I didn't realize it was a launch game, but it makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah, me neither.
Yeah, but my brother and I would play it. My sister and I would. You probably played at my house a lot too. Like, there's so much novelty you can get out of it, but it's still pretty fun. Like, it's a basic game, but it's also so easy to pick up that anyone can approach it. Some of the other fun games that were on Atari at launch, it's always fun to see this list. There's Video Olympics, which I never played before. I just like this called Video Olympics. There's Street Racer, Blackjack. It's just straight Blackjack. It's just called Blackjack.
Whoa.
Yeah, Starship, Indy 500, and Air Sea Battle. And then there's one called Basic Math. I'm sure that's a fun one, really popular one back then. Yeah.
No, it's probably nothing like what was that one? Math Munchers or
Math Blaster?
Math Blaster. There was another one where it was like a little guy eating them numbers too.
Oh, that might have been Math Munchers. Yeah. I was thinking Math Blaster.
Yeah,
like
I remember
the one we played
Math
in school.
Too.
Yeah.
It's good that they made the educational games better than Atari. By the time we
were in school.
Yeah.
You got a lot of Cross Country USA too.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to the NES era right now. So just a couple of the notes that was released on Nintendo. So this actually just celebrated its 40th anniversary. They don't necessarily have an exact date for Nintendo's launch, but
sometime in October.
It was October 18th, technically, because that's sort of the date they have for, I think it was like a New York release, because it's kind of limited before it went nationwide.
Oh, I thought the limited was before October.
Was it before?
Yeah.
I could be wrong then.
I thought they did the limited kind of over the summer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe the full launch was October 18th. So it just celebrates 40th anniversary, and I have by the time I got the Nintendo, like a lot of games had been out. There was like Mario 3 had already been out. Actually, was it out? Yeah, I think it was. Because I got my Nintendo when I was like 5-ish, somewhere around there. So there was like a lot out, so I had no frame of reference for what launch was. But we also know them so well because they have the iconic black box with like a screenshot or like a pixelated screenshot, so to speak.
This is the one system where you can easily point out what a launch game was.
Yeah, you can tell what the earliest games were. Yeah, so some of the notes they have on there, or some of the games they had were baseball, Gyromite, Hogan's Alley, which I did not realize was such an early game. That's a Lycan game. I played that at Vito's house. He used to own that, I'm pretty sure. Kung Fu, which I also didn't realize was a launch game. There's also Ice Climber, which that makes sense. I don't like that game at all very much, but it's a launch game.
Was Balloon Fight one?
Balloon Fight was not.
Wow.
Clue Land was.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if I played Clue Land.
It's on the Switch app.
Okay, I may have not played it then. So there's a lot on there, but we have a couple on here. So I know one of the ones we put on here, Deucy, what do we have? We had Mario Duck Hunt. That was a big one.
So I always wondered, because I saw it on the list, but I always thought it was a little later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know Duck Hunt and Mario were separate at first, and then we all grew up with the action set.
Yes.
That came with them combined. But wasn't there also the Mario Brothers that was like the arcade game that launched?
I don't know if that was at launch, because I only see Super Mario Brothers on the list.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that might have come out after. I'm not sure.
Must have been like really quickly after.
I would assume so,
because
yeah.
I know it's in a black box as well.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up, actually, because I'm not sure when that released. Because it's interesting, like, it seems like that it'd be weird to release that after Super Mario Brothers, when Super Mario Brothers is like the killer app.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a term, that's a term I don't really hear anymore, is killer app. Like, you remember when that was like a big thing with like pretty much all these console launches, especially like in the late or early 2000s, I should say. It was like, what's the killer app that's on the PS2 or
that
or
lasted
Dreamcast?
a handful of years, and that was about it.
I know. I feel like now it's just launch.
But like, how could we make this list without mentioning the Mario Duck Hunt combo?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure everybody you talk to, if they had a Nintendo, was like, "Yep, we definitely had that," and I remember pointing the gun directly at the screen.
And this is largely why so many people are gamers now, is because of Mario and Duck Hunt.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you had one on your list as well. Just I almost put this on my list, so I figured I already knew you were going to talk about this one.
I have two more on from the NES times.
Oh, two more. You're right. Yeah. I see.
Excite Bike and Golf. And I think Excite Bike was on my top NES list way back in.
That's right. That was
Episode
like
2.
episode 2, 71 episodes ago. That's crazy.
Yeah, so go back and listen to that one for sure.
Yeah, we sound a little different. All of us do.
But Excite Bike, I just remember spending hours on this game and not fully knowing like that I was trying to beat the time or whatever. I was just trying to beat the other little motorcycles and make them crash. Mm-hmm. And then I would spend a ton of time doing my own track editor, which was like the first time anybody had seen like, oh, I can actually make something in the game.
Yeah, that's actually, in retrospect, that's pretty incredible that they even had a track editor. And I know it's very limited, because I think you had to use, there's like predestined parts, right? Or there's certain button combinations for parts?
No, there was the alphabet.
The alphabet, that's what it was.
A through Z was each a different part. And then you couldn't save it on your system, on on your cartridge. The other one I had listed here was Golf, not because I like super enjoyed it and was good at it, but just because of the memories. Like, my dad played this a ton.
Yeah.
And if you've ever played this and you know the sound effects that it makes, because there's no music, just the woo.
Yeah, the ball traveling through the air.
Yeah, and if you went out of bounds, it was like, which I did a lot. But just like, I'd be in bed, and then he would have his time with the Nintendo, and that's all I would be falling asleep to.
It's like almost hearing a slide whistle in the background or something.
Or if you made the putt, and it was like, dee, dee, dee. Like,
you could almost tell how well your dad was doing.
Yeah.
By the sounds.
So yeah, I was just like, that was my my rain sounds that I do now, but back then it was the golf sounds.
Yeah, what do they call that? Like white noise now?
Yeah,
that was your white noise.
That was my white noise.
Yeah. I guess we can move to Game Boy real quick here. Game Boy was released July 31st, 1989. We got a couple games on here. I almost put baseball on mine, Deucy, because
that's what you had with the.
That's all I had. Yeah, so like,
system.
I've said a billion times, I hate sports. But I like sports games a lot, or some sports games, I should say. And I didn't have a Game Boy growing up until one of my parents' friends, like they rented a car and they had a Game Boy in it. And they're like, "Hey, you want this?" I'm like, "Hell yes, I do." Like, I don't have a Game Gear, Which also meant I could borrow Deucy's collection, because he had a pretty good collection of Game Boy games. So that's what I was arguably most excited for, because the only game I had from the Game Boy at the time was baseball, which had Mario on the front. He had like a baseball outfit. It was actually a pretty fun baseball game. I didn't really know what the rules were or anything, but I knew the basics, like get a home run basically. And
I think though, haven't they done tests recently that show it's very cheap? Like,
did they? I don't know.
Like the CPU will really cheat you.
It's possible, because
if you're not paying attention.
The thing is, like, I could attribute that to me being just a terrible, I don't know shit about baseball kind of thing. But it would make sense that they were cheating too. But I do have a bit of affinity for that. I'm just also shocked that it was a launch game. But I also had Alleyway and Tennis was another sports game that was released. And you have a couple on your list that I think I put them on my list as well, because they're standouts, I would say.
I'd say they're like the two to have, and it was Tetris.
They sold the system,
which came with the system, and then Super Mario Land, which was the first portable Mario. And these were clearly the first two I had. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, When did this launch? When did the Game Boy itself
It said
launch?
July 31st, 1989.
89?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I got a Game Boy for Christmas of 89.
Wow. You've been like just 4.5 years old, almost
Yeah.
5. That's crazy.
So I was trying to think, because I remember I had this very early, and these were the first 2 games I had. The third one being Mickey's Dangerous Chase. I still remember that pretty clearly.
Wow, I didn't know you got that so early.
Yeah. So these 3 games, and that's all I had for a while. And yeah, but the first 2, Tetris and Mario Land, which I didn't really quite understand at the time that they were launch games. I knew Tetris came with the box.
Yeah, I vividly remember that because anytime you saw a Game Boy in the store, it was like you'd see Tetris right on it.
Yeah. And even back then, I know I had the story about the Nintendo Tetris. I was building castles, but by the time the Game Boy one came into my hands, I knew what to do. It was also just as hard though.
Yeah.
And then I played the Mario Land a ton more when I was little because it was Mario.
Yeah, I put these on my list as well for the same reasons because I'm positive I borrowed these from you because I think you had Mario Land 2 as well, right? Because I borrowed it from you and Vito a lot. And I borrowed Mario Land 1. I guess it had been from you because I don't remember if Vito had it, but it was the coolest thing. Like by the time I got the Game Boy, which would have been like 95-ish, so I was late to the game by then.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I was catching up on all these Game Boy games, and one of the ones I wanted to play was Mario Land because it was.
I think you borrowed that and beat it like really quick.
It was
because
it's
like,
only
here you go.
It's only like it's literally a 15-minute game. I think maybe 20 if you stretch it out.
Yeah, there's
it's
like
not very long.
4 worlds, 3 levels each.
Yeah, and they go by super brief. But again, like the whole. We talked about this offline before where we're talking about stuff like we were watching a video like on Castlevania for Game Boy. It's like I understand the criticisms of it. Like people are more critical of Mario Land now, but it's like in the early 1990s, it didn't matter. Like you had a portable version of a game you love. So it's like we dealt with the fact that it may not have been very good. It could have been absolutely terrible. You dealt with it.
Yeah.
And Mario Land is like, I'd say at worst it's mediocre. And at best it's a great sort of showcase for the potential for the Game Boy because the game is kind of ugly. Like Mario's super tiny, it's super short, but it doesn't matter. It's a Mario game that's in your hands, all 4 AA batteries.
It had the basics. It had the pipes you go down. It had the question mark blocks to hit, and you get little power ups. And I'm really enjoying that they're showing it more love these days. Like in Mario Kart World, there's tracks based on the desert that you're in Mario Land.
Didn't they also have the main bad guy, or was he? What else did he appear in? I thought he was.
He was in Mario Land too. He was the space.
That's probably
enemy.
Yeah, that's
the main. Yeah, the final boss in Mario Land 1 was in 2.
That's what I'm confusing it with.
But there are some like enemies that have made their way into other games and also in Mario Kart World, and plus Princess Daisy was the main princess that you were saving.
That's right.
In Mario Land 1, and now she's like a big figure in all of the Mario games.
She's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I would say easily out of the launch for the Game Boy, like it's Tetris number 1 because that really defined the whole system. That's what sold the system. That's what, Game Gear was a very, very distant second to the Game Boy. Like, I don't know what in total they sold for Game Gear, but, the Game Boy sold, I think, after it was all said and done, like 100-something units or something.
Wasn't it the top-selling system for the longest time?
I think it was until like the PS2 and DS,
yeah,
and even the Wii. I think I don't know if the Wii beat it or not, but still, it's like it's a portable system, and it was driven by Tetris. That's really the beginning and end of it. Mario Land was like the other game you got with it that you enjoyed because it was a platforming game. Yeah, we'll go to I'll go to Genesis real quick because that came out before Super Nintendo. So I only have one to shout out on the Genesis, because this didn't have a very robust selection of games. It had about 6 games. There was Last Battle, which I'm not too familiar with. I can't remember what that was. Space Harrier 2, Super Thunderblade, Thunder Force 2, and a surprise for me that I thought was funny, Tommy's Sort of Baseball, which I always associate as the Bill Clinton baseball game.
I laughed my ass off when you told me that was a launch game.
I laughed when I read that.
Because I recently got it in that like video game box mail, like box through the mail. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know he had a baseball game. And then you were like, yeah, it's a launch.
August 14th, 1989. So that's why when I say like, Genesis was known for Sonic, but Sonic was 1991. I think most people assume that this Genesis came out around the same time as the Super Nintendo, but we easily forget that it didn't. And
really, only Sonic came out with the Super Nintendo.
Sonic came out with the Super Nintendo, yeah. But the Genesis had 2 whole years before the SNES, and that's also gives more reason for why, from a technical standpoint, it wasn't as powerful as the SNES because it was actually, 3-4 years older hardware on top of all that.
Yeah.
But the main game I selected for this is Altered Beast because this was one of the most awesome looking games when I was a kid. I remember the first time I saw it. My half uncle brought over his whole Genesis to my parents' house for some reason. It was like, I think it was like a Thanksgiving or Christmas. So he had the whole box, and the thing I remember is it's one of the most iconic things from Ultra Beast. But you know when you transform, like you have the flames, and the guy turns into the wolf.
Yeah.
So that was on the front of the Genesis box. I didn't know what it was because I think this might have been even before. No, I had a Nintendo by then, but he brought it over, and the problem was this clown forgot the controller. So we couldn't play anything. It was just one controller, and I didn't have a Genesis. So I'm like, well, I guess we'll look at the box. So anyway, once I finally got my hands on it, I was like, wow, this game is freaking awesome. The whole idea, it's really basic. And, this game gets trashed nowadays for being like so clunky and whatever, but the badass factor makes up for it. It's pretty short. It's pretty easy. But the whole idea of the game is like it's a side-scrolling side-scrolling beat 'em up. And you beat up, or excuse me, you kill these like, I think they're like these ox, like these colored ox. And then you get an orb out of there, and when you click 3 of them, it cuts to like a little cutscene where you're transforming into a beast. Like in the first level, it's this wolf man who has like these fireballs and this weird dashing attack. Second level, you turn into like this dragon, and each level has a theme based on the sort of animal you're transforming into. So I thought this was like the coolest thing ever, and also it was such a huge step above the NES in pretty much every regard, right? Just from graphical and control and just sound.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I know it's not a good game. Technically, it's not a show stealer showcase. Like, it's not Sonic. But I feel like for me, for the Genesis, it's a pretty badass launch game in general.
I have no Genesis games on my list because I would have put Sonic on there if he had been a launch. Because I looked at the list of launch games and I'm like, oh, I've played some of these and I wouldn't exactly say I've enjoyed them.
Exactly. I think, they're not bad. Like Super Thunderblade's a cool shoot 'em up. Same for Thunder Force 2.
Yeah.
Space Hero 2 is also shoot 'em up, but they're not remarkable, right?
Yeah.
They're totally playable, but I will not say like that is a showcase for launch.
I guess I should give Tommy Lasorda a try.
You could.
I might enjoy that one. It's baseball.
I don't know if you did. I would love for you to say I enjoy enough to put on my list.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to do that.
My favorite Genesis launch title, baseball.
Move over, Ultra Beast. Yeah. On the sword this year. Yeah. So now we move on to Super Nintendo. We both have a couple selections on here. 2 are the same. One is the same, I should say. So Deucy, I guess I'll start with my different one. I'll go with F-Zero because I feel like this was a big deal on the Super Nintendo. I almost said N64 because this was also a very good showcase for Mode 7. It also looked incredible compared to the Nintendo because I remember playing this at a buddy's house who got the Super Nintendo for his birthday. I don't know why that's like a core memory, but I went to his room and it was there, and his mom like shunned me out of there, like I wasn't supposed to see it yet because it was like his birthday gift or whatever.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we played F-Zero. I was like, wow, this game is really hard.
Yeah.
But man, it looks really awesome too. It's just like a hoverboard racer kind of thing. But it's a really good showcase for the Super Nintendo. I think it's a really awesome launch game.
I went with the one game that came with the system and sold me on needing the system, and that is obviously Super Mario World.
Yeah, I put that on my list for good reason and obvious reason. Yeah,
I just remember this was one of the first games where when I would see commercials or when I would see it in like Nintendo Power or something, I felt angry with jealousy that I didn't have it yet. No, like I never wanted a game really. Maybe Darkwing Duck on Nintendo, but that was around the same time. But like Super Mario World, I was just like, oh, I hate that I don't have a Super Nintendo because I really want this game. And then when I finally got it, some other friends on the street had a Super Nintendo, and then they had different choices, and one of my friends had Pilot Wings, which was another one of the launch titles. So I put that on my list as well because like it was so simple but also so difficult. It was another good use of Mode 7.
Yeah.
And we just spent hours. Like it wasn't even a 2-player game. We would just trade off.
Because it was set up that way. I mean, really, the game is just a bunch of mini games.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to trade off. Like I remember playing this with my buddy who owned it, and we did that target practice game. I thought was cool. I think it was like the parachute or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that, and I forgot what the other modes were.
There was the rocket pack.
Yeah, and I think a biplane.
There was a biplane you had to take off and fly through rings and then land.
Yeah, and it was hard to control. I remember it being hard to control back then, but I still enjoyed it, and it still looked pretty amazing. Again, like we were so young that this did look revolutionary. Like, and even for me, like going back to Mario World, like I don't think I knew Mario World really existed until my dad bought the Super Nintendo. Like I remember we went to Kmart. I remember sitting in the shopping cart with the Super Nintendo, and I know what it was. until my dad hooked it up and we played Mario. I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
I died like 3 screens in. But again, like the difference from Mario Brothers 3, which is probably the most recent one I played, to Mario World was without a better word, a generational leap in every way. And just from the music, the first level, just the art design, everything, like stuff that I didn't recognize as a kid, but I knew how good it looked,
Yeah.
Some of the other games we'll mention on the launch. By the way, this came out August 23rd, 1991. So what is that, like 35 years old now?
30, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. They had F-Zero, Gradius 3, Pilot Wings, Sim City, and Super Mario World. I didn't realize Sim City was an early game like that.
I didn't know it was launch. I had heard it was early, but yeah, I didn't realize it was launch.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay, Deucy, we'll move on to, let's see, I guess.
Did you want to give a quick shout out to Game Gear, even though we have none of the games on our list?
Oh, yeah, well, because I don't know I love the Game Gear. I forgot what games were launching, but there's one that you have. It's Super Monaco GP. That was the launch game.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the other ones. I guess I could look them up real quick. But, it's not that we don't love the Game Gear. I freaking love the Game Gear because I grew up with it. It's just the games at launch, I couldn't remember them, unfortunately, right now. None of them were remarkable because I think there's like 5 or 6 of them as well.
Yeah, it was another system where you might have gotten a Game Gear later where it was packed in with Sonic 2 or something.
Mine was Sonic 2 because there were some with Sonic 1, but by the time I got my Game Gear, it was 2.
Same with us. We had Sonic 2, and I didn't realize what the launch titles were for that, but when I looked it up recently on the list, I was like, oh yeah, if I have played any, I didn't really like them, except for Super Monaco GP. I just recently picked up just a couple weeks ago, and that one's been pretty fun. But I also read more about it, and the console versions sound way more awesome than the Game Gear version.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's an actual career mode and stuff in the console ones.
So I got a little list here. So there's Cast of Illusion, which I'm shocked that was a launch game.
Wow.
That's the Disney game. I haven't played the Game Gear version. I love the Genesis one. I'm sure this is pretty good, but I just couldn't put it on my list because I don't recall playing the Game Gear one. I may have rented it once. I just don't remember much.
I feel like it is the console one, but maybe with a couple less levels.
Yeah, probably condensed, which I'd like to buy this because I just love these Donald Duck Mickey games from that early era Sega,
Oh, yeah.
There's also Columns, which I do love Columns. I should put that on there.
Is it Super Columns?
Just
or
regular
the
Columns,
okay.
the OG Columns.
We had Super Columns, which was really fun too.
Yeah, G-Lock, which I've heard of but not familiar with.
That's a flying game.
Yes, Psychic World, which I don't know about. And Super Monaco GP. I think that's all the games on there. Someone mentioned that maybe Axe Battler, but I don't remember if that was a launch game or not. I don't know. That's that really expensive game that's based on Golden Axe, but you only play as the Axe Battler, the one guy with the blue shorts.
Might as well. It's in the title.
Yeah. So I'll briefly go into my PS1 games because you don't have any PS1 games on your list.
Nope. That was another one where I was like, nah, like if Twisted Metal had been a launch game, that was totally on my list.
Yeah, so I would say, objectively, like maybe I'd say I don't think there's a really big standout PS1 launch game because these are all fine, but there's not what we'll say is a kill rap, right? It's not like a Mario World or on that level. Some of the games that were released at launch, it was September 9th, 1995. There was Air Combat, which would later become Ace Combat.
Oh, okay.
I do enjoy Air Combat, but I got that way later.
I like that series, and I think I've borrowed Air Combat from you.
You probably did, I'm sure. Battle Arena Toshinden, which it's an early 3D fighting game. I did get a lot of mileage out of that because it was like, it was on a demo disc, and I love fighting games, and that was like one of the earlier 3D games I got to play.
I recently got that on Game Boy, and it is actually pretty awesome on Game Boy.
That's right. Yeah, well, because we saw like a video or something on this. Actually, that was pretty badass, right? Yeah. That series died on the PS1. Unfortunately, like it's not truly remarkable or anything. I enjoyed them for what they were, but I think it's just, I know 2 and 3 got really repetitive because I did play those. But, it'd be nice to maybe revisit that. There's like ESPN Extreme Games, NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
Oh, I remember Extreme Games. My friend across the street had that, and for the longest time I couldn't remember what it was called, but it was like, don't you do like street luge and stuff?
So
like,
think Road Rash, but with extreme sports.
Yeah.
So like, there's a luge, there was rollerblades I used a lot. I don't know if there was a bike or not, but yeah, it was basically sort of like different, there was different like, vehicles you could use. I don't know how else would you describe those Deuces? Rollerblades and stuff. What were all those things?
Vehicles,
right? Like I don't know.
Modes of transportation. I guess, but
means of conveyance. I don't know. So I do remember playing again. That was the demo disc thing where like I played the hell out of that. The one level. 2 Extreme is on PSN right now. It's fun for the novelty, but it also shows you like how rough some of those digitized games were back then.
Yeah, aren't the graphics sort of like Cruisin' USA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same digitized gimmick. Yeah. Like I said, just think Road Rash, but uglier and with extreme sports.
Yep.
There's the Raiden Project, which is a shoot 'em up. And then a few others. The two I'm going to name, and Ridge Racer was launching. That's a big deal too. Ridge Racer was great, yeah. But the two that were most relevant to me is Rayman. It's a fantastic 2D game that they haven't made a new one in a little while, but it's really good. I love the 2D art in Rayman.
He's had a good library of games.
He has. Rayman 2 is freaking fantastic. Rayman 3 was solid. I will always defend Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins. Those are the newer 2D ones.
Oh, yeah.
I think you should buy them. If not, I'll buy them for you for $5, like they're always on sale. But they're really great. And then the other notable one for me, which, again, this is a bad game, but I loved it to death. And it's really what sold me.
This story has been told so many times on this podcast.
Like, it has sold me on the PS1, and it's Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Yep.
So we've done a whole episode on Street Fighter the movie, the game, and Street Fighter the movie, and a little combo thing we did with Vito. It was a great time last year. I love this game. It's not good, but I have to give it a shout out on when we're talking about launch games.
Of course.
All right, Deucy. So move into N64, which you are more familiar with.
Well, I mean, there were only two options, and I didn't like one of them.
Me too. Well, I like the other one. It's just not as much.
Yeah, so the N64 launched with Mario 64, obviously, and Pilot Wings 64.
That's it. Two games.
And I remember renting Pilot Wings 64 a little bit later after I had the system, and it was not as fun as the Super Nintendo version. For some reason, it was also harder, and the Super Nintendo one was already hard. Mm-hmm. But I had to put Mario 64 on this list, just like you, because, I mean, it's Mario 64.
Yeah, there's, we'll talk about, we'll point out games that were significant, not only for the launch, but for just gaming in general. And Mario 64 is one of them. Like, Mario World is also one. I'd say, and Tetris. I'd say Tetris, Mario World, and Mario 64 are probably the three right now that were, not only genre defining, they define the systems. Well, and influential.
Even the first Super Mario Brothers that
also is that well. Yeah, that's true.
Brought video gaming back.
So there's a thing with Mario, to say the least, with each of the systems so far. But yeah, N64 Mario World is fantastic.
He could do no wrong for the first few generations.
He couldn't. And this is when they were launching with a Mario game, which will change, as we'll talk about later. I also had Mario 64 on there for the same exact reasons. We haven't done a dedicated Mario 64 episode, have we? No, we haven't done that yet.
Probably have to wait, like we did for GoldenEye, for some sort of marquee
anniversary thing.
Anniversary one.
Well, next September is the 30th anniversary of N64, so we got time. Yeah, that was released. Was it September 9th? No, excuse me. That's PS1. That's N64. And where do I have that here? Oh, it's so small. That's why. It's September 29th, 1996. Okay. So we got till next September.
Yep.
But yeah, Mario 64, one of the most influential games, one of the best games ever, still in my eyes. Still plays really well for its age as well. Okay, so what we move on to now, Deucy? A big one for me, less for you.
Oh, the system?
Yeah, the system here we're talking about is the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah. One of my favorite systems ever. Released on one of the most iconic days ever, 9/9/1999. Also memorable for me because Final Fantasy VIII released that day. But Sega came out with a bunch of games for this launch. I mentioned this to you, Deuce, before, a few days ago where it was. But I think Dreamcast is, to me, it feels like the first system where I think companies like Sega realized that they needed to have a robust launch library and something that had a little bit more variety.
A lot of variety, yeah.
And a lot of variety, because before this,
well, PS1 tried.
It did, yeah. Yeah, but by then, I think the PS1 was still so early in the 3D era. It was still that first sort of footprint there.
It was also just trying in general.
Exactly. It was more about experimentation than anything else. Yeah. And by the time Dreamcast came out, 3D had firmly planted its feet into consoles and gaming in general. And Sega, with its failings of the Saturn, the 32X, the Sega CD, kind of realized that they have to go back to the drawing board, and also just to even get some sales right off the bat, they have to have these games that would sell the system.
And after so many generations, they finally put Sonic front and center.
They did, because Saturn did not launch with a Sonic game, which probably did not help it at all. Yeah. It's interesting because we'll talk about GameCube later, which did not launch with a Mario game, which is really interesting. But Sega was, I don't want to say they were in trouble yet, but they definitely had issues before this that led to better decisions for the Dreamcast. So Dreamcast probably had, I can't even count here, probably 15 to 20 games.
Damn.
Pretty robust. They had stuff like Arrow Wings, which is sort of an air combat kind of thing, Ace Combat. Mm-hmm. Air Force Delta, also similar to that. Blue Stinger is a survival horror game that's kind of like Resident Evil, but nowhere near as good. So they tried that. Kart Flag to Flag for racing.
No, that was interesting to me. I was there was a an officially sponsored kart IndyCar.
Yeah, I think it was a Sega game too.
For a launch title.
Yeah. NFL Blitz 2000. There's Power Stone. There's stuff like Tokyo Extreme Racer, Trick Style, which is sort of like a hoverboard Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh.
It wasn't amazing, but it's still pretty solid. But some of the games I put on my list here.
Jet Grind wasn't a launch, was it?
No, that was 2000. I would say early 2000. Yeah. So the ones I put on my list that were significant for me was House of the Dead 2. It was a really fun light gun shooter that my brother and I put a lot of time into. It's really hard, and one thing I will say that sucks about the Dreamcast is they never released an official light gun here. It was all third party.
Oh.
And all of them were garbage.
Oh.
So this game was also difficult and made worse by poor light gun support.
Did you play with a crappy light gun, or did you play with controller?
Both. We did both.
God.
We suffered through both. It was a rough time. But my brother and I love that freaking game. There's Mortal Kombat Gold, which is really just an enhanced port of Mortal Kombat 4. They added 5 new characters. There's like Cyrax, Sector, Melina, I think is another one. And I forgot who else they added. But they're all kind of like broken, which is fun. So this game is just like kind of a mess. It also sucks to play with the Dreamcast D-pad for fatalities. Yeah. But it's not a great game. I still loved it nonetheless back then. And then a couple big ones here. NFL 2K.
That is hilarious.
It's
but
amazing.
I understand because I was
exactly.
there.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah. So I don't like watching sports, but I enjoy sports games. I got NFL 2K only because the Christmas bundle my parents got for me at Costco, it came with NFL 2K, so I had no choice. So I played it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't buy Soul Calibur yet, which I'll mention.
You surprisingly played the hell out of that one.
I played the hell out of NFL 2K. Like I found my Panthers because they had that awesome logo.
Yeah.
And they had a Delhomme, is that his name? The quarterback.
It might have been at that time, yeah.
Delhomme, yeah.
Delhomme.
Because I'd asked you how to pronounce it. That was the other thing. I remember that. Because you watched football and knew these things. But this is where I learned the rules of football, thanks to you and our friend Matt, because I'm just like blindly into this crap,
And then you threw them out the window and threw Hail Marys every play. You were like, look at this glitch. And every play was a completed pass like 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. I just found, I think it was called the All-American player or something like that, but it was just a bomb straight down the field, and I got really good at doing that.
I actually put this on my list, even though I've never owned a Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy a lot of the launch games for it, and I put this on my list because I borrowed it from you when I borrowed your system. I also played it a ton at your house, and I remember it had a really cool, this was probably the first time that they let you create an entire team.
Yeah.
So I went in and I made a team for Monterey, and I kicked out some other team that I didn't care about. And I was like, we're going to be here now. And yeah, I played probably a full season with that. And then I think I even created some players. I think I created me and you and Matt and some others.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was also great because, again, the Dreamcast launched with 4 controller ports.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great for us to all get together and play that because we could do 3-player. Usually it was like I was teamed up with someone because I didn't know much about football. And you guys would tell me, like, I was like, why did that happen? You have to like, oh no, that's a foul.
Yeah.
You can't just throw people around. There's rules.
You can't line up way over there either. You got to be on this side of the line.
Yeah. So this, I don't love football or anything, but this was the first football game I truly fell in love with because even when you guys weren't around, like I would play this by myself because it was like, this is just really fun. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was, I don't want to say how I can't compare how simulation heavy it was compared to Madden, but I think whatever this had, it might have just enough arcadiness for me to enjoy it.
It felt like other Sega games, like when you compared like Virtua Tennis to Topspin or something.
Oh, yeah.
Sega always threw sort of an arcadey, more approachable spin on things, and I feel like NFL 2K definitely did that too.
Yeah, and also, God, this game was really freaking gorgeous too. Like I remember being blown away by the Dreamcast, and this was also a technical showcase for the time because it was about as real as football could get in a game at this point. I don't think there's anything close to it.
I had Madden 2000 on PlayStation, but I liked looking at NFL 2K better.
Yeah,
like it was a lot smoother.
It was gorgeous, and then the presentation got better as they went on. Like with like 2K1 introduced online play, which was a big deal. 2K2, 2K3, and then possibly the greatest football game ever made, NFL 2K5.
Yeah.
Before EA took their thunder, and I just read that EA renewed the license till 2030. So
yeah,
there's
I saw
no chance
that too.
of that. Yeah.
God.
NFL 2K died 20 years ago for this nonsense.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 big games I'll talk about here that are also on your list too, Deucy. Actually, get to your game that's not on my list because I almost put this on mine, but I figured you put it on there.
I also put on I didn't realize this was a launch title, but it was so fun. Ready to Rumble Boxing.
Yeah, I love this game. I first played this at your house when our friend Tyson rented the Dreamcast. Yeah.
That was my story too, is like I was there with him when he rented it and we took it to his house first.
Oh, I know you were with him. That's funny.
Yeah, and we played the hell out of it there. I think he rented 2 or 3 games with it, but we stuck with Ready to Rumble. It didn't matter if you knew boxing that well. It was very arcadey.
It was so fun.
Yeah, but it was just so hilarious. And you didn't mind if you lost because you were like, well, I'm going to bounce right back into the next round.
Yeah.
There was no one person that got really good at it like a fighting game or like the other boxing games.
Well, there was one bastard, my brother.
Oh yeah.
If you remember,
I did not remember that.
Yeah, you probably blocked that out of your mind for trauma, but my brother was really good at finding like these really cheap moves that he knew how to cycle through.
Yeah.
So in Raid to Rumble, he found one character that has like this, it's like a dash punch thing, and it kind of stuns you in a way that you can't really recover. So I remember him just beating everybody with that until I figured out how to dodge consistently, and then he could not do anything to me. He was like, "Oh wait, this is falling apart."
Yeah. So every time he would run up like a winning streak, we were just like, "Okay, Don, your turn."
Yeah. And he would
get in and stop him.
He didn't know how to deal with people who dodged. It was really funny. Yeah, but Raid to Rumble, I would love another boxing game to come out in general. Like, I know there's Undisputed, but I wish Fight Night would come back. Mm-hmm. But I would really love a Raid to Rumble kind of reboot or something. Because that was significant for the time because it also looked really gorgeous. Again, like anything Dreamcast back then was pretty mind-blowing looking. But Raid to Rumble was like a standout. That was always in the commercials with the guy with the afro. I think his name was Afro Thunder.
Afro Thunder, yep.
Yeah, he was always in the commercials. Like, he was sort of like the mascot for a little bit for the Dreamcast. But it was a fantastic game. The other two we'll talk about here is... We can't talk about Dreamcast and Sega without Sonic Adventure, which huge technical showpiece, huge deal for the time. It was Sonic looking like anything unlike that before. Like, they would always show the scene when he's running like on the dock with the loop, and there's a giant like a orca whale,
killer whale
in the back. Yeah, It looked. If there's any other way to sell a system, that would be the way to do it.
Like Sonic in 3D, not the first time, but the best time.
The best time and proper time.
Yeah.
And also, like, the music was really good.
Yep.
It's still like Sonic, where it's like you're basically speeding through levels, and the sense of speed in here is insane as well. Like, you were going so freaking fast
for the Sonic levels, because then you could also play as like Tails and Knuckles, which slowed things down a bit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of variety in there, which I thought was really cool. But it's always just fun to play as Sonic because he had like the most well-designed levels, I thought.
I mean, I don't know, there weren't really collectibles or anything, but I finished it fully, and I even did the second final one with like Supersonic and the final battle and everything. Like, I played the hell out of this game even for not owning a Dreamcast.
Yeah, I think Sega really realized not having a Sonic game for Saturn's launch was a big misstep, and they corrected it pretty well with this one.
And then it was mind-blowing when I bought it for GameCube.
Yeah, that's, again, exactly. Going back to Halo being on PS5,
yes,
I still think the bigger mind blower is Sonic on the GameCube. There was no bigger enemies than Sega and Nintendo back then. Yeah. And the final game we'll talk about from the Dreamcast launch lineup that probably sold more systems, but it was right up my alley. It also was just an incredible port that was even more enhanced than the arcade version. It's Soul Calibur.
Yes.
The original game was Soul Blade on the PS1, which I also played a lot of. But Soul Calibur was the one that I played for so many hours after the fact. Like, this was the reason I wanted a Dreamcast. I remember seeing it on GamePro TV. And one of the, sort of the marketing things that the reviewer gave me that really hyped me up was how the graphics were so detailed that you could see Mitsurugi's muscle flex when he picks up a sword. Oh. I was like, wow. Shouldn't have impressed me when I was like 14 years old, but it did.
Yeah.
But this game was an absolute stunner on the Dreamcast. It actually looked way better than the arcade version even. Like, the arcade version almost looked like a PS1 game. And this was way more smoothed out. It had like these really amazing water effects. The control was super tight. It is like the perfect 3D game, and also fit really well with the with the Dreamcast controller on top of all that.
This made my list, and I know that's a shock to people who know that I don't really like fighting games, but this made it to my list because this was like Ready to Rumble, where we just played it a ton when my buddy first rented it, and this was probably the first fighting game where I was like, wow, I finally have a chance. Like, I can somewhat hold my own until your brother found the cheap move.
You did pretty good with Kalik, I think it was.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, he was your
tops. I could actually knock you off and make you pass the controller for once.
Yeah, the 3D games, it was that extra dimension that was sort of like my Achilles heel sometimes. Yeah. But I think that's as far as like technical showcases and killer apps, it's a toss between Sonic Adventure and Soul Calibur. But I think Soul Calibur, because it's a fighting game and it's a little bit more focused because of that. Like Sonic, you have all those different game types, like with Big the Cat and Knuckles and everything, but some aren't as fun as others. Like Big the Cat was a fun novelty, but not great. But I think Soul Calibur is that sort of showcase for the Dreamcast.
It's good for them to have both because you're going to have people who like adventure platformers and you have people who like fighters.
Yeah, for me, like it's it's just bread and butter. Like it's just I have to have the fighting game on there. Yeah. So we'll move on to PS2, which as of this recording, it's like 2 days away from its 25th anniversary, which is insane. This has probably one of the biggest lineups for launch games, I think. Like, out of the list I pulled, this probably has like 20 something, maybe close to 30. It's a pretty massive list.
And the list is so large that we have entries on both of our lists, but they're very different.
They're all different. Yeah. So we could go through them here, Deucy. Let's go. I don't know. I guess you want me to talk about mine real quick here? Yeah. Sure. So I'll go through with mine. So one of them is a Street Fighter EX3. Not the best Street Fighter game at all.
Was that when they kind of went 3D-ish?
It's full. Yeah, it's 3D graphics with 2D gameplay. And also a tag mode, which was really interesting and different at the time. It's a floatier game. It has some really cool mechanics, but it just wasn't as tight as like a 2D game like Street Fighter 3 or anything, even before that. It's a fun game for what it is. I would not say it's like a reason to get a PS2. The other two I would say are reasons to get a PS2. So another fighting game. Tekken Tag Tournament. This is the game that I saw in a magazine that really blew me away because I saw they had screenshots of Jin Kazama. I was like, holy crap, the PS2 looks ridiculous. But I love Tekken to begin with, and this had a tag mode. It had more characters to unlock. It had Tekken Bowling, which we played the hell out of back then. This game, my brother and I and my friend Alex, we played this like every freaking night after I got a PS2 and Tekken Tag because it was just so fun because you can mix and match teams. It played really well. It looked amazing. It's just top tier launch game for me. And then the bigger game for me that I was surprised about because when I got my PS2, I didn't have any games for it yet. Like my dad just bought me the system when we rented some. And one of the ones I got was SSX by EA Big. This to me is the best PS2 launch game. It's like it's a technical showcase for one thing, but it's sort of like Tony Hawk with snowboarding, but on steroids. Like you had these really huge, insane drops. You had like all these snow effects going off. You could collect these giant snowflakes that were like score multipliers.
Oh, I remember those.
Right? Yeah. There's like a racing mode. There's also a trick mode where you can just rack up the best score. I put in just a ridiculous amount of time for this game. And it's something that I really didn't know about because I just kind of rented it on a whim. And then it became one of my favorite games right before SSX Tricky came out, which that's one of my favorite PS2 games ever as well for good reason.
I don't remember playing the first one too much. I might have played it with you.
Probably.
I don't think I ever borrowed it from you, though. But then when SSX Tricky came out, I got that for GameCube, I believe. And yeah, I played that a ton.
It's so freaking good. I really wish those games would make a comeback.
Yeah. On my list, though, for the PS2, completely different. I went the sports route. And my first ever PS2 game was, I didn't fully realize it was a launch game because I didn't get PS2 at launch, but it's MotoGP.
I know you got that so early.
Yeah, it was my very first one. I forgot what my second one was. I got two games sort of together because I didn't want just a racing sports title. I got something else. But yeah, MotoGP was fun. I'm not the biggest motorcycle racing fan. Our buddy Matt is bigger into it. But back then I would follow a little bit along with it. I knew the racer names and stuff. And but it was just, for being a simulation game, it was very approachable. Mm-hmm. I've tried playing the more recent ones like MotoGP 25 or 24 or something like that. God, they're so much harder now.
I tried them on PS Plus because there was like you told me about it. I tried. I was like, well, yeah, this is a bit of a learning curve. I need to dedicate time to this.
I went straight down the straightaway and then I didn't turn. I was like, whoa, what the hell happened? But like MotoGP for the PS2, that was fun as hell. And then the other one I put on my list was Madden 2001. Yeah,
which I did play this quite a bit actually because I remember I got it from a trade on switchhouse.com back when you could do like online trading. And I actually played this a lot. Like I didn't love it like NFL 2K, but I liked it a lot, and also it had that cool card collecting mode which they've now monetized in like Ultimate Team. But it was this is a great entry, I think.
Yeah, I also didn't realize this was a launch game because I didn't get it right at launch, but like I said, I had Madden 2000 for PS1. And like you said about Mario 3 and Mario World being generational leap, this felt like a generational leap for a sports game.
Yeah, this game did look freaking gorgeous back then. Like I remember this being a huge deal when it came out.
Like finally, I didn't have to be jealous of you in NFL 2K because I was like, yeah, I got Madden.
I got Madden on a PS2, which is more powerful than even a Dreamcast.
And like you mentioned, the cards thing. Not only was it just collecting cards, but you could also then use them to modify your games. And I was surprised that like I had as much fun with that. Usually I'm strictly sim for my sports, for my realistic sports titles, but this was fun to put in some of the like different cards, and you get like an extra down here, or like maybe you only have to go 1st and 5 to get the next
little modifiers.
One.
Yeah. I really appreciate that mode, and it's funny because we look back on it now, like, yeah, it's a really cool mode, but now it sucks because if they do this now, but now it's like monetized, like you're paying real money for these cards when. Back then, it was just like a side thing that kind of enhanced the game.
Yeah.
So it's funny how things have changed in 24 years, 25 years. I'll mention some of the other PS2 launch games that came out. There was Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore, which was an enhanced port of Dead or Alive 2. Armored Core 2. There was, there's Midnight Club Street Racing, which I didn't realize that was a launch game.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
But if you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like it.
Yeah, because I remember renting that one, but I think I had rented it thinking it was a newer game when it was a launch game. Ridge Racer 5, Smuggler's Run, which I remember that was also a Rockstar game. That game got a lot of press because it was like an open world kind of racing game. And that was really the big thing. Is like it was just a big world to traverse more than anything else. And then there was Summoner, which was an RPG. Time Splitters was a launch game.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty crazy. Unreal Tournament and a couple of other smaller games like Wild Wild Racing, which I don't remember much of at all. I don't know what that is. And X Squad, which I remember getting not great reviews in EGM.
Wasn't Ridge Racer 5 sort of a big deal?
It was. Yeah, that game is really good. It also still looks freaking gorgeous. It's a really nice game. We can move on to now, Deucy. Let's move on to GameCube. Want to go to GameCube
Oh,
here?
yeah.
So GameCube came out, November 18th, 2001. This had a bunch of different launch games. There was Batman Vengeance, a port of Crazy Taxi. So again, this is after Sega stopped making games.
Wow.
And they released a Crazy Taxi on a GameCube. Dave Mirra's Freestyle BMX 2, Disney's Tarzan Untamed, which is kind of surprising. Madden 2002, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, and then we have a couple on our list here. So Deucy, do you want to go with yours first, maybe?
My one and
Your
only.
one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Luigi's Mansion because we didn't, like you said, we didn't get a Mario game at launch for the first time ever, but we got Luigi's Mansion, which was surprisingly, I mean, I'd say underrated because people were mad that and they were like, screw this Luigi guy, and I'm like, no, Luigi was my character for years now, and I'm like, finally he's stepping into the spotlight, and it was an awesome Ghostbusters game when they weren't making Ghostbusters games.
They weren't, and I was going to point that out too because I'm glad you mentioned it because that was, I think the worst thing about Luigi's Mansion is the fact that it was a launch game for the GameCube, and it felt like that reviewers were taking more liberties with the scoring because of that.
Yeah.
You know, like they said, like it was a disappointing game, which, you know, you can say maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it seemed like they were more docking it for the fact that it wasn't a Mario game at launch on the GameCube or on the Nintendo system, which it's interesting because we talk about Saturn not launching with Sonic, and now GameCube or Nintendo's done the same with the GameCube, not have a Mario game. But they were banking on Luigi, and, you know, they made a few sequels after that, so it wasn't a total loss. But I agree. I think it's weird that it sucks that it wasn't a Mario game at launch, but at the same time, you know, they still had some pretty good games at launch. I had on my list, I had Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader, which is by easily the game that sold me on the system, like in all the previews.
It looks so good, but I didn't put it on my list because I never got anywhere in it. It was super hard.
See, and I ended up beating it because it was difficult. I actually felt like the N64 one was more difficult.
Wow, that one I beat.
And you beat that one. Yeah, I had a hard time with that than this one did. But this one, I was totally drawn to it, and the first level is truly just like a marvel. Like that's what really impressed everybody. It's like you're doing the Death Star trench run in the trenches,
and it looks like the movie.
Yeah. And it seems like they've modeled pretty much everything off the Death Star. Like there's still turrets on the surface and everything. And you go through the trench run, which is pretty lengthy, and you have to dodge obstacles and shoot TIE fighters that come in, and then you do the whole missile gimmick of shooting it in the vents. And it was incredible. This game also sounds really amazing. This is like the sort of showcase for the GameCube, I would say.
Did they make you run it twice, like in the movie?
I can't remember. Yeah. I don't think you did. I don't think you did.
I thought some game did make you miss the first time, kind of like
it might have been Rogue Leader,
maybe
Part 3. I mean, whatever that one was called, Rogue Leader.
Yeah,
something like that.
No, That's his Rogue Leader.
Oh, Rogue Strike? I don't know what it
Rebel
was.
Strike.
Rebel Strike. See, I knew Strike was in there. Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. It's a little foggy. The other games I put on here, Super Monkey Ball.
Oh, man.
I got that for that Christmas.
We played that a ton.
That was one of the most awesome multiplayer games at the time because I remember bringing it over your house after I got it for Christmas. It was like, we got to play this.
Yeah.
And all the mini game beyond the fact that the mazes were fun to begin with, like just going through there and like laughing everybody falling off.
Yeah.
It had a ton of mini games that were arguably even more fun than the main game. Like there was Monkey Target where you go down a ramp and you float
launch and you fly.
You fly on the target to get the most points. There was Monkey Bowling we played a ton of. It was just a great time. I really
Monkey Bowling was Wii Bowling before Wii Bowling.
It was, yeah. And the last game I put on here for my list is for GameCube at least is a game that I think is underappreciated. It's Wave Race Blue Storm. This had some of the most impressive water effects I'd ever seen at the time. It still does, frankly. I'd say that the most challenging part about this game is the fact that it's so freaking hard, and the difficulty ramps up pretty fast. Like I got pretty good, but there's points where I was like, I just can't progress any further.
I remember playing this pretty soon after you got it. And I finished like dead last every time, and I was just like, "Screw
it was
this
hard."
Game.
Yeah.
And that was even doing the multiplayer stuff. But like, I just went back to the N64 one, which I found a little bit easier.
It is, yeah. And the N60, I mean, this is really just an extension of the N64 one. Like the thing is, like, I guess you could say that it didn't really do much to advance what Wave Race 64 did.
Yeah.
Because it's still just a racing game at its core on Ski-Doos.
But I mean, the graphics, man.
The graphics, the graphics looked amazing. And also the levels, they had a lot of variety in like the levels in there as well.
Yeah.
It sucks because that's the last last Wave Race game ever be released. I doubt Nintendo's ever going to do anything with it again. I would love them to.
Well, I mean, they made one for Game Boy, and then we never even knew about it, and then all of a sudden they brought it for N64. So there's still hope.
We'll say there's hope. Yeah, you'll give me hope, Deucy. I'll hold on that hope. Yeah. All right, so now we'll go on to the Xbox. This is the risky console by Microsoft that everyone swore was going to fail, which, I'd say it's fair because, you thought like a PC company and whatever, they were going to release a console, and a lot of consoles had, previous to this had failed, like the 3DO and Jaguar and everything else. Granted, those weren't from like software companies.
But then stuff like Saturn fails, and they're like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, uh-oh. But
that was
people were understandably skeptical about the Xbox before it released. This came out a couple days before the GameCube on November 15th, 2001. So 3 days before.
This was already kind of after the Dreamcast was failing too, wasn't it?
The Dreamcast had already was basically on its way out. Like they basically said we're going to stop making them.
I feel like that's another reason why people were like, "You're going to release a new console, brand new."
Yeah.
In this economy, like PS2 was running rampant on everybody.
It was like, and again, you have to figure like this was a year into the PS2, and we always talk about how significant 2001 was for games, just in general.
Yeah.
And PS2 had a huge share of that insane library, right? Like just with GTA 3 launched a month before the Xbox did, so they had that, and then Metal Gear Solid 2 was released in the same week as the Xbox.
Oh
and
my
the GameCube.
God.
Yeah, because I remember when my brother picked up his GameCube at Kmart because no one was there for launch. We went to Target, there was a giant line. Go to Kmart, no one was there. He picked up the GameCube and he got Metal Gear Solid 2 with it because it came out in that same week. It was really nuts, and we saw Xboxes there as well. So we have a few games on our list for Xbox. I'll go through mine real quick here since we have. I think do we have the same ones here? No, we have a couple the same. So I'll go through. Let's see. We have Dead or Alive 3, again a fighting game. I have a lot of fighting games that were on mine.
I feel like that was the first one I played, and I really enjoyed it. That was another fighting game where I was like, "Hey, I kind of have a chance."
Yeah, it's really good. The countering system is really cool. Like you can counter pretty much any move just by like hitting back and A. It was really generous, so it made every match look really crazy, like a crazy kung fu match or something. It was really nice. What else we had here? There was an All-World Munch's Odyssey, which was a puzzle game that was a sequel to the All-World PS1 games. I think this game was, it got really good reviews, but it seemed like most people didn't care about it because we have one major game that we're going to talk about in a second here that overshadowed everything.
Yeah.
And then the other game I'll mention here is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X because I was a huge Tony Hawk fan and still am.
Was that 2 but like enhanced?
Yes, so it actually included both games, 1 and 2, all the levels from 1 and 2.
Oh, wow.
And also some bonus levels, I think, at least 1 or 2. And it was the full games for both, so I just, I played through all the way through. And
all over again.
Yeah, all over again. This is one of my favorite launch games just for that reason. And then, Deucy, you have a couple on yours as well that I also put on my list.
Yep, and I'll start with the lesser-known one, Project Gotham Racing.
I love this game.
Yeah.
I so wish they would bring this back.
I don't think I didn't get an Xbox at launch. It was way late into life. I was staunchly against the Xbox when it first came out. I remember PlayStation all the way. So when I did finally get one, I don't know if I rented this or maybe I played it at your house first and I was like, no, I got to get it. And it was just a fun racing game, sort of sim, but definitely arcadey with the kudos points and everything.
Yeah, it had these sort of obstacle courses where you basically have to get the highest kudos, basically the highest combo score, and it had like these cones that you would also sort of drift through.
Yeah.
And if you drift through cleanly, you get a bonus, but if you knock them over, they would dock points too. So there's a little bit of a skill thing there too.
It was hilarious if you totally wiped out. It was like all these cones, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Whoop, there goes all the points.
Yeah. I really love this game because it's Bizarre Creations who made, Project Gotham. They made Metropolis Street Racer, and they also made Blur and Bloodstone.
And Geometry Wars.
Geometry Wars as well. That's right. Yeah, they did a lot of great games. And PGR was great for me because it was more on the arcade side, like you said. It wasn't so sim heavy. But it's a series that died after, I think it was 2007 when 4 came out. And we haven't seen anything since, unfortunately. But that's really when it was starting to get really good. Like, Project Gotham 1 was fantastic, and then 2 was even better.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of 3, but I played more 4 than anything else.
I feel like I played 3 the most.
I think you did, because that was also on our list as well.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
And then finally, we'll put it, because we both have it on here, and you can't not talk about this, Halo.
Yeah, Halo, like, Combat Evolved.
Duh.
Like you want to talk kill rap? Like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the revolutionary system seller that frankly lived up to all the accolades it got at the time, because you can argue about it now as far as like how it looks and some of the design of the levels later, like the library and whatnot.
The last half of the game.
last half of the game, arguably. But back then, when my buddy, he got his Xbox at launch, we played through. He slept over my house for like a week, basically, and we played through this entire game co-op. It was truly an amazing experience. It looked incredible. It was really just a different scale of things that really hadn't been done before on consoles. Like, this was kind of normal on PC in some way or another.
Oh, yeah.
But for consoles, this was completely new. 4-player, multiplayer deathmatch with all these game types. This was like the showcase for the Xbox. And frankly, I don't know if the Xbox would be as successful as it was for Halo. I think Halo was such a huge piece of that system selling.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Like, it was single-handedly keeping that alive. But I mean, they also got some other good things eventually.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Tony Hawk thing, that's an awesome thing to have. Right,
I think it's a great value. It was like $40 or $50 for both games, basically.
It's safe, it's well known, people might want to play it again. And then later on, they got the NFL Fever series, I know was pretty big.
Yeah, I remember, because also had online play, which
Yeah.
is a big thing. I don't think Madden had done that yet. And NFL 2K was still releasing games, but I don't think 2K2 was, wouldn't be out for like another year where it was.
Yeah, so they had you need the sports to really back you up too, which GameCube didn't do so much of because their controller was so wonky.
Yeah, they did. GameCube did have Madden 2002 and NHL Hits 2002. But and All-Star Baseball, yeah.
It's just weird to play sports games on that
controller. It doesn't feel right. Well, you had SX Tricky, which I also felt was really weird on the GameCube.
Yeah.
Like, that was most at home on the PS2 with the shoulder buttons.
Somehow I made it work.
I know you did. I played, I was like,
Same with Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah. Like, this is breaking my brain here. I don't know.
It's weird to have a fighting game on there, but I needed it for Link in that game.
I was glad you got that, because I got the Xbox version to play as Spawn, so I needed to play as Link that way, yeah.
But, I mean, Halo is so big that now that they've announced what do they call it? Campaign Evolved, I want to go back into it because, like you said, they've maybe retooled some of the later levels. Which they've
reworked most of the game, because also what they've added is 4-player co-op, which was not a thing in the original, right? So they have to rework a lot just on that, because the levels were designed with 2 players at most, and they're reworking a lot of the campaign to probably modernize some things and like cut some of the fat and make things like the library not such a slog.
Yeah.
So I think they have their best foot forward, at least for their sort of promises. I'm excited to play it at some point. I'm not like in a huge rush, because we've played through Halo so much. But it's a Halo again.
It'll be fun to do co-op again.
Exactly.
I would say.
Like that game thrives on co-op, and it's definitely going to be a fun experience either way. All right, Deucy. I guess we're whittling down the list here. Should we go to 360 and whatnot, since we have some games on there with parity between you and I? Or let's that system mentioned. Let's see. We'll go to 360. So I only have one on here, so I'll mention that real quick, and you can dive into yours. I have Condemned Criminal Origins. So again, not a Hallmark game, not a kill rap in any way, but a really cool true crime sort of detective first-person horror game, where if you've played it, you'll fully understand what I mean when I say the word mall, or what do they call them? Mannequins in the mall.
Oh yeah,
because this was definitely a scary game at the time. It still kind of is. It has a very tense atmosphere because there's not a whole lot of music. There's a lot of sort of fog effects and a lot of things that kind of make you really tense. It's a solid first-person game. Like the combat isn't so great. It's a lot of the melee-based stuff where it's like you pull a pipe off the wall and it can break and whatever. It's like totally sufficient but not incredible. Really, the meat of the game is like all the detective stuff where it's like you're scanning for fingerprints, trying to find out who murdered what because there's a serial killer on the loose. And also, you're in a mall, an abandoned mall, and there's mannequins that aren't mannequins because people step out of there. I think this was like a really cool experience to show what the 360 was capable of. If anything, it wasn't like a huge showcase, like I said, but it's still a really fun playthrough.
Yeah, when I was looking at these lists, I never played Condemned or anything. I was like, oh, scary, no. But I was looking at the list. I was really trying to find something, and at first I didn't have anything, and then you put up the little cheat sheet, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize some of these were launch titles, like Project Gotham Racing 3.
Yeah, I totally forgot that was. Yeah.
And because I remember when I got a 360, it was a little bit late. It wasn't as late as the Xbox compared to its launch.
I want to say, because I remember getting my 360 like in June, July of 2006, and you got it just before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I got it, I remember I got Ghost Recon, Advanced Warfighter, and something else.
Was it Oblivion? Was Oblivion out then? Because I remember you bought that, no?
No, that was a little bit later, but I got the big box set of that one.
Was it Fight Night? Because I remember I convinced you to get that, and you're like, you almost regret it because I had more fun playing that than you did.
Yeah. No, Fight Night Round 3 was it?
Round 3, yeah.
No, I did enjoy that one, but yeah, you were definitely better at that than me real quick. I played that alone. But then Project Gotham 3, which I didn't even realize was a launch game, but I eventually got that just because I knew I liked 1 and 2. In fact, I might have still had 1 and 2 at the time. But yeah, I got 3 and spent tons of hours in that one. I think that was the one where you had your own little customizable garages and you could.
Oh, I remember that.
You could set up the cars that you owned into little different areas and then do a little first-person walkthrough of all your cars.
Oh, that's really freaking cool.
Yeah. And I believe, was it that one or 4 where they had the Geometry Wars arcade in the garage?
Oh, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4. I can't remember.
One of those, you could just go up to it and then play the full game right there in your garage.
I forgot about that.
The other one I had on this list, which I didn't realize was a launch, was Call of Duty 2.
Yeah, I probably should have put this on the list because this was the showcase for the 360.
Okay.
Because I remember that it was on kiosks and everything like that. It was like the showcase saying like, look, it looks like World War II and it's so realistic and everything.
Because I had played Medal of Honor way back on the PS1.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember doing many war games on PS2.
Maybe Medal of Honor Frontlines. Did you play that one? That one was really cool.
But I know they were starting to fall off.
Yeah.
And then Call of Duty 1 was PC only, but I had heard the name. I was like, that's an interesting title. And then 2 came out, and I was like, whoa. And I played that start to finish. I finished the whole game. Was this the one that started with storming the beach?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
But I can't fully recall. Yes.
I think it was, and that was like epic.
Because that's it had to have been because that's when they were showing like any demo they showed was like the waves crashing, like all the debris flying all over the place, you're being shot at, all the the bullet sparks and everything like that, or what do they call them, bullet streaks or something like that.
Yeah, the tracers.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I remember that was like the big thing. It was like the big scene that they showed to sell you on the thing, and I remember that being a huge deal at that time.
I don't think we ever did. Did this have multiplayer? I don't think it ever.
I can't recall because I remember playing this a little bit at your house, but I can't remember if we did any multiplayer or if it even had it.
Yeah, and if it did, we probably were only doing like the split screen. Did it have co-op?
I can't remember. I have to look up.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
But I just remember playing, the single player all the way through, and this was the first time where I was like, wow, a first-person game can be pretty darn cinematic. Mm-hmm. And then Call of Duty, if nothing else, your complaints about it aside, like, they do first-person cinematic really well.
Oh yeah, they do, and that's always been like their trademark before multiplayer, right?
Yeah,
just having that kind of experience, unique war experience, so to speak. And this was a perfect sort of illustration of that, I think, because out of the 360 launch games, like I'll go through some because this was released just for fun here, November 22nd, 2005. So quickly approaching 20 years since 360 released.
Yep.
We were about 20 at this time, so we were, we had a little bit more disposable income, so we could kind of look at these games a little bit differently. But some of the games they had out was Amped 3, which I really love that series. There's a snowboarding series that was on Xbox. There was Cameo Elements of Power, which was supposed to be a GameCube game.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? I actually like this game, but I don't love it enough to say, like, it was a great launch game.
I think it's on Rare Replay now.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is the enhanced port of Most Wanted from Xbox and PS2.
I don't think I ever played either one.
Really?
I mean,
you would have liked them.
I might have played a Most Wanted at your house briefly, but I never played either
I can't believe that because that's a really good game on 360.
I remember I didn't want to play the Xbox version because there was the next gen, and then once I got 360, I never really played the Most Wanted.
We have to seek that one out for you or something. Yeah. There's Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is based on the movie. I do remember that being a big deal because that looked really good, but it wasn't a very good game. It was just middling, but.
People really like it now. They go back on it with a lot of fondness. I've noticed that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fondness now, which I think is interesting.
Because they're like, oh, look at this. No HUD. It's very cinematic.
Yeah. And it was, it did look really good. There was Ridge Racer 6, Quake 4, and, a few others. But one I want to point out that was absolutely disappointing for both of us, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Deucy.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark Zero.
Yep.
Oh, my God. Like, we were such huge Perfect Dark fans. And, I was really excited to play Perfect Dark Zero whenever I could get my hands on it. And I didn't get it until, I probably rented it. I don't know if you bought it before I did and I played at your house.
I did buy it eventually. I don't know if it was right away or not.
That's what I thought because I know I'd seen it and I was working at Circuit C at the time, so I'd see it there. And then when I played it, I was like, oh, God, like, what did they do? Like, everything that I loved about Perfect Dark in N64 it seemed like it was just gone at this point. I don't know what the deal was.
I know it felt very much like a generic first person shooter instead of a classic Rare game.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because it did look nice, but the animations weren't very good. I didn't care about the story at all. I can't even tell you what it was really about.
I mean, it was her before she was perfect.
Oh, see, that's right, because Zero is a prequel. I even forgot that part. Yeah. So it just sucks because that is one that we were really looking forward to, and that arguably might be one of the most disappointing ones because we had so much fun for the original game, and the sequel came out, and it was just
womp womp.
Yeah, I don't want to call it garbage, but it wasn't good.
Yeah,
it was really disappointing. All right, Deucy. So now you and I we kind of split off here. We have different sort of systems and games on here. So you've got a couple left. So I'm gonna go through. I'll go through my GBA ones real quick, and then we'll kind of finish up here.
I had one of those.
Oh, did you?
Year two, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So for Game Boy Advance, this was a system I got at launch because I think it was released around my birthday. Actually, it was, yeah. So June 11th, 2001 is when the GBA came out. I remember my buddy and I both went to Target. My mom took us there. His mom gave him money to buy GBA. And my mom got me this for my birthday.
Nice.
And the one game I wanted, because we'd seen previews in EGM and whatever other magazines, Castlevania Circle of the Moon. This was the system seller for the Game Boy Advance. It had a pretty robust launch sort of lineup, I would say. There's Choo Choo Rocket, which again is a port of a Dreamcast game. It's interesting that was on Game Boy Advance.
Huh.
Earthworm Jim, Fire Pro Wrestling, which I remember renting.
Earthworm Jim was on Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, I have it actually. Yeah.
Was it a port of the first one? The Super Nintendo?
Yeah, it's a port. It's it's fun. It's not amazing, but it's portable.
I'm sure there's problems with the screen size and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. It's still a decent port though.
Yeah.
There's Rayman Advance, Raid Rumble Boxing Round 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, Super Dodgeball Advance, and
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was on everything at launch.
They were
just like Tony Hawk.
But the thing is, like, that game is actually really cool. It's an isometric game, and the character you play as it looks 3D, but it's like one of those 3D pixelated kind of things, almost like a Donkey Kong kind of sprite. But it was actually really fun. It was just really disorienting with the controls because you have that isometric perspective, so actually all your directions are kind of funky, and you kind of move in 4 cardinal directions.
Yeah.
So it was really good for what it was, but obviously it's not going to take the place of a console version.
I'm not choosing that on purpose over something else.
I would choose this because it was a great port and it was Tony Hawk portable, but you're not going to play that now and say I'm going to prefer this over the PS1 version or something, And the other game that I think you probably put on your list too, Deucy, is Super Mario Advance.
That's the only one I really could put on
there. Yeah, I figured.
I only played Circle of the Moon recently when the collection started coming out to Switch and stuff.
Oh, geez, I thought you had borrowed it from me at least once or something. Wow.
In fact, and then after playing it, I actually like Aria of Sorrow more.
Aria of Sorrow is definitely the better game.
Yeah.
I will say Circle of the Moon, the biggest thing about it is like, the GBA when it launched, it didn't have a backlit screen. We usually had to get worm lights.
God, yeah.
And this game is naturally dark because it is very much a 2D Castlevania game, and it's more traditional than the future games were. Like, this is probably one of the last traditional Castlevania games to come out. The biggest difference here, it had a card system called DSS. I forgot what it stood for. But you had 2 sets of cards, and one was like sort of a modifier, and the other thing was sort of like an enhancement of that. So you could, enchant your whip with fire, and it would also do something else.
Yeah.
So you had all these different combinations. I think there's like 8 cards for each row, and then you would progress through that way. So it was long before the soul system would take Aria of Sorrow. So Circle of the Moon is a great Castlevania game, but Aria of Sorrow is just way better. Like, it's much harder to recommend Circle of the Moon over that.
Circle of the Moon was fun, and I think it got a little hard, and I got stuck somewhere in it, but I
got stuck at the final boss.
Yeah,
it was not good.
But it was fun when I was doing it. And then if I try to get back to it now, I don't remember where I'm at, and I don't remember what I was doing with the card system. So I gotta like restart and remember what my moves are.
I'd say that one is definitely harder to get back into after you haven't in a while. Like, Aria of Sorrow less so, and even like the future Castlevania games aren't as hard to get back in your place. But Circle of the Moon it's a little bit tougher. It's also just a difficult game to begin with.
But the other one we put on our list, both on our list, is Super Mario Advance, which is sort of an updated version of Mario Brothers 2, the US version. And it's kind of funny that this was a launch title, but it worked so perfectly, and it was just so fun that all the little extra stuff they added to it.
Yeah, it also looks a little bit like a remake more than anything. Like, it's not a port. It looks like the Mario All-Stars game, but actually even better.
Yeah, it's got the Mario All-Stars graphics, but a little touched up, a little different.
And I think the edition wasn't like the gold, or not gold, the red Mario Yoshi coins or something like that. Didn't you have to collect those?
Yeah, there were extra coins to collect. They weirdly, I think they added voice work.
Oh yeah, they did that little voice clips for some of the characters. Yeah, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think it also had the original Mario Brothers, like that multiplayer one.
Oh, they all did, yeah.
I believe that was on there as well. And if I recall, you might have only needed one cart with a link cable to play it, but I can't fully recall.
I think so, yeah.
Right? I think that was the whole gimmick of it. I don't know. I doubt that the other version or the main game had 2-player anyway, but it'd be kind of weird since you're switching off.
Yeah, no, it never did, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah. But the Mario Advance, again, like, it's not a showcase in any way or a killer app or anything, but it was by then the best portable Mario you could have because it played like the NES, or I should say Super Nintendo, really. It played more like Mario All-Stars. And also just looked really fantastic on the Game Boy screen. It was really vibrant. The graphics looked really nice. It was a great starter game.
This was the first... Well, no, I won't. I'll take that back. Because there was Super Mario Deluxe on the Game Boy Color, which was the original Mario Brothers finally portable.
That's right.
But that one was a little wonky because of the screen size and your character size.
They cropped it and you were big.
Yeah. Whereas this one fit perfectly on the screen, and it was finally an old Nintendo original, but portable. And it just showcased like what the Game Boy Advance could do in the future. And then they would go on to release Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and Mario 3.
Yeah.
All as under the Mario Advance banner. And those were just as fun and portable now.
Yeah, and they were worthwhile back then because, again, like, it wasn't like now we have all these collections and like the Switch app service has a majority of these games available for subscription. But back then it was like I think it was like $30 for these games, somewhere around there. And you got a portable Mario, and it was as close as you could possibly get. Actually, even better than the NES experiences, really, or the Super Nintendo ones. And they were worthwhile. They had extras and everything, and they were great. It was just a nice little extra you could have on your GBA. All right, Deuce. So I think we have a couple more left each. So I'll pick 2 of mine. Then I'll go through, like, we'll switch off, and you can finish us off with your final game there. So I'll mention mine here. We have Killer Instinct on the Xbox One, which I'm surprised because I went a little bit more modern. I was just curious, like, I don't remember what the launch games were for, like, the PS4, PS3, and Xbox and whatnot.
You didn't have an Xbox One right away.
I didn't. It took me 4 years to get an Xbox One because at the time I couldn't afford both. I only had money from one, so I waited because I had to save up. I got a PS4 because they also announced that Street Fighter V was exclusive. So, like, decision made. So there's no reason for me to get an Xbox One. And I got the Xbox One because the Xbox One S was cheap at the time. And I also wanted Killer Instinct really, really bad because that was like the one big game that they had. Plus, Sunset Overdrive was out by then, and I really wanted to play that because it was Insomniac. So it had a few games that I really wanted to play, and then the price was right. So I got this, and it was initially free to play, but I bought the bundle that had like all the characters and whatnot unlocked. And by the time I got this, like, there's nothing but killers online because I love playing these online. So I got a little bit of taste of my own medicine.
Jumped into the deep end.
I did. They put me with the sharks, is what it was. But it's a really gorgeous game. It's also one of the most, I want to say balanced, because I guess it is pretty well balanced. But it's one of the most technically sound fighting games I've played, just because of like the combo system, like all the things they've fully integrated from the original games, like the combo breakers, and they have like this cool little combo bar where you can't technically do an infinite, like it caps you out. So you just have to maximize as much damage and hits in the middle of all that. But you also have a ton of defensive options while you're getting comboed, because back then it's like you only had specific openings to do a combo breaker, and here it's like you have more openings, but in the midst of your opponent's combo, they can also do things to throw you off to counter your counters. So I love that aspect of it, because it's just a constant tug of war. It's hard when you're playing nothing but killers online. So I was surprised that this was a launch game, but I put it on my list because I absolutely love this game. It's funny, not something I played for like 4 years.
I didn't get an Xbox One at launch, but I did get one because my buddy was selling his, and I was like, well, shoot, it was definitely under store price, and he threw in Sunset Overdrive with it.
Oh, that's cool. You got it with it.
Yeah. But for some reason, I remember Killer Instinct being a launch title. I think it was because like Rare hadn't been doing anything in the longest time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now, and we were wondering like, why the pairing of Microsoft and Rare if they're not going to do anything? And then suddenly this launched with Killer Instinct. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. This is one game that I do wish would go to PS5, because if anything else, to get some new players playing.
Yeah.
get me a little bit more tuned up, because I can do okay, but sometimes you see someone that I recognize as a pro player, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, this is not going to go well.
Why are you still playing this? Oh no.
Like, I'm going to try my best. But I know you're not even going to try your best and just murder me.
Yeah, he's like, let me pick my worst character.
Yeah, and also one thing I'll note too is the music in here is freaking phenomenal. It's Mick Gordon, who did all the music for Doom and Doom Eternal, like Doom 2016.
Oh, nice.
So it's just this really heavy thrashy metal that's just right up my alley.
Yeah.
And it's all sort of twists on the original game's music in some respects.
I was going to say the original game's music was already awesome.
It was already incredible. Yeah. So he already had a high bar to meet, and he definitely met it. So this game,
you just remix those original ones. You don't even have to make anything new, and it would have been awesome.
Well, it's like even the title screen remix. I listen to that just normally. It's really great. So I really, really do love this game, and it's one of the few Xbox exclusives that I wish would still go out. I mean, it's on PC, which is great, but they're still sort of sharing the same pool as Xbox, more or less. So I just want some PS5 players in there, so we can kind of ease things into it a bit,
And it's how old now that you would definitely get some newbies in there.
Oh, geez, it's like 12 years old now. Yeah. 2013. When the Xbox One came out, I have it on here too. It's November 22nd, 2013. So it actually launched, was that 8 years to the day of the 360.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy. I didn't realize that. Yeah. But yeah, Killer Instinct, phenomenal launch game in my eyes. All right, Deucy, you're next one, because we got you got two of yours, so we'll flip flop, and you'll be finishing us off here in a moment.
Mine's sort of a recap on this next one. It's another handheld, the original DS, not 3DS, and it's just Mario 64 DS, which we already talked about Mario 64, and now again. This is a game that's portable that we didn't have available to us portable.
Yeah.
But they did so much more to this one. I mean, you could play as Yoshi, Luigi, and Wario.
That was like the coolest thing about it.
And they even added stars, and they added these other little bonus mini games, and they added levels that pertained to Luigi, Yoshi, and Wario. And it's funny, they split up the caps because Mario had the wing, the metal, and the vanishing. So now it was like Wario got metal, Luigi got vanishing, and Mario could still fly.
Oh, I didn't even know they had switched it up like that. Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just spent a ton of time. It's pretty difficult to play because the DS doesn't have a stick.
Yeah. So I remember it had the D-pad, and also, if I recall, didn't they have like a thumb thing you could put on your thumb?
Yeah, because you could move them around on the touchpad.
Yeah, so it was almost like a thumb cozy.
Yeah.
I guess I'll call it.
Yeah.
And that was how you control it, because you use the touchpad, which... I didn't get a DS for, I think, a solid year, because I got it again with Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. I bought the game without the system, and then right after I bought it, the guy at EB was like, "Hey, just buy the system." And I was like, oh, "All right, like I probably shouldn't spend the money, but I did." But I didn't get this for a while, and I remember you played the hell out of Mario 64.
It was one of my work games.
Yeah,
I was at the
remember,
museum.
right? And didn't have like a bunch of mini games as well.
Yeah, in fact, after I played I don't even know if I fully finished the main game on that version, but I played the mini games a ton. They were just like card games. You match the cards or count the bombs and move them around and stuff like that. It was oh man, there was a couple others. There was, I think, a shuffleboard type game too.
Oh, that's cool. You just kind of push on the DS
screen. You
screen?
Push on the screen and then hope it doesn't fall off at the other end.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The DS came out November 21st, 2004, and the launch list wasn't very robust. Mario 64 is definitely the big game out of it, because the other ones were Asphalt Urban GT, which I remember that being a racing game that I don't know what reviews it got, but I just remember it being not remarkable, I guess.
I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, Feel the Magic XYXX, which is like I think that was a Sega game, but it's like probably some sort of mini game type thing. I remember being very weird. The DS had a lot of weird games.
Yeah.
Madden 2005 was a launch game.
That's funny.
Spider-Man 2, I don't remember that.
The movie one?
Yeah, I kind of forgot that was even on there. The Herbs, Sims in the City.
Oh, man.
And then a demo for Metroid Prime Hunters, which I do remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was not really
sold.
a fan of that game. Yeah, I had a hard time enjoying that game a lot.
Yeah, that's why my only option was Mario 64.
Yeah. Well, frankly, that launch list, that's really the best option.
I mean, I enjoy a ton of DS games, but none of them launched like that one.
Yeah, I would love to do like a DS episode, because that system was really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right, Deucy, for my final game that I'll talk about here, it's the most modern one in our list, I would say. It was launched on the PS5, which, when did that come out now? That was, I don't even have the date. It was like November 2020, because I remember it was pandemic time, and I was like, am I going to get a PS5 delivered? How's this going to work? I remember if I picked mine up. I can't remember what I did with it. But it's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I kind of put this as an aside, but it's also Spider-Man Remastered.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the time, this was the only way you could get Spider-Man Remastered. It was a remastered version of the PS4 Spider-Man game. But obviously, it's like, it looks very, very nice on the PS5. Miles Morales is, it's more like a DLC game, you could say, because it's pretty short. Like, I think it's only like 7 hours or something like that. And
it's like the Resident Evil 3.
It is. That's a great way to put
Spider-Man games.
it. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. This one, I went through 100%, and it only took like 12 or 13 hours. But this was just a very nice, tight side story. It also looked freaking incredible on the PS5. Like, this was a showcase for me above anything else. And, I'm sure it sold a ton of PS5s, and I feel like this is probably the best game that was on the PS5, because I looked at the list. There's not a whole lot else. There's like Borderlands 3, which is kind of cool. Actually, I should shout out Astro's Playroom, because that was bundled with the PS5.
Oh, and that was the precursor to Astrobot.
Yeah, and that was really just sort of a demo for the DualSense controller, like all the things you could do, which was really freaking cool. I showed you how advanced that controller was.
Yeah,
and that was a freebie they added, just threw in. So I should mention that. But as far as the other games, it was like Maneater, which was that shark game that was really fun. Did you play that one?
Yeah. I have it now.
I love that game.
On some system.
I ended up 100%ing it on PS4. I was like, I don't want to do that again on PS5. There was Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, which I did put on my list there. That was a phenomenal for me. NBA 2K1, Observer, System Redux. It's just, again, there's probably like 15, 20 games in here. Like, they're all good, but they're not like, again, that one thing you want to get behind. Miles Morales is that game.
Oh, like, I don't have anything on my list past the Wii, which I'll get into shortly. But, like, a lot of the most modern systems haven't sold me based on launch games. It's just been like, well, this is the next progression of things, and I'm eventually going to need one, because a lot of good games are going to come out for it, but they don't launch with anything other than stuff we've already played before.
Yeah, I feel like now we're at a time where exclusives have kind of blurred the lines, right? There's still, Nintendo will have exclusives, Microsoft has less exclusives, PS5 still has some exclusives, but it's not so much they're getting behind that exclusive game to push the system. Now it's like, what other services do we have? Like, we have Game Pass, we have PS Plus, we have Switch Online, we have all these other things, PSVR, there's free-to-play games, right? So I think the value props have changed as far as like selling a system. So that's why I feel like now it's like they're in the groove of like these launch games, but they aren't Halo or like a Mario 64. They're not in that sort of echelon of launch games. Like, some might be close to it. Like, I think Miles Morales is a fantastic game, but it's not like a revolutionary system-defining game,
Yeah. In fact, I will say I didn't put it on my list, but it just sort of dawned on me that, like, Mario Kart World was probably the return to a launch game that sold me on it. Like, I didn't know if I was going to get a Switch 2 right away, but I was going to be jealous if I didn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like back in the day with Mario World, I was like, man, this Mario Kart game, I really want to play it. And it's also like the first time a Mario Kart has launched a system.
It was, and also we were just really chomping at the bit for a new Mario Kart because Mario Kart 8, despite the new tracks they added, which is incredible that they added like 48 new tracks where it was.
Yeah.
It's still an 11-year-old game. Like, It
Yeah.
still came out in 2013, 2014. So I think we were also just waiting for a new Mario Kart game, and once we saw it announced and it was a launch game, it's like, well, yeah, we have to get that.
Yeah.
If we get a Switch to a launch, we have to get Mario Kart, you know?
Luckily, they bundled them.
They did, yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much the game to get for Switch 2 launch anyway. Like, you know, my disappointments aside, that was the game to get because the other one would be like Cyberpunk, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But everyone, not everyone, but you know, most people have played that. I played through that game a ton.
Yeah, that's
But
more
Mario
my
Kart-
point of PS5 and stuff.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So it's like Mario Kart World is the system you want to get on the Switch 2 at launch.
But my last on the list is going to be kind of a no-brainer for this system. It's the Wii, and it's Wii Sports.
Yeah, I would say this is a huge deal.
This was a pack-in thing, which, you know, Nintendo hadn't done in a while. And you'd think, oh, these are just a bunch of little sports mini games and whatnot. But, oh my God, the way this took over, you could say, the nation. Like,
Well, it made it approachable to I don't want to say casuals in like a bad word, right? But it appealed to people who don't play games normally.
I was going to say, everyone and literally their grandmas had a Wii all of a sudden, and we were just playing nothing but sports. Like, my family adopted it in almost every house, and at every like holiday get together, Easter, Thanksgiving, whatever, we were busting out bowling or tennis or something. And yeah, the way it just took over, and it really did help the sales. We like skyrocketed in number of systems sold.
Technically, the Wii Sports is one of the highest selling games ever because it was a pack-in and
Yeah.
the Wii sold so much. But you know, the Wii isn't one of my favorite systems because of the motion stuff. But not all that aside, Wii Sports is really amazing, and also I just love the fact that I've read that. You know, there's been a lot of stories like how they have this in retirement homes because it gets elderly
Yeah.
people like more engaged and like
Heck
they're able
yeah.
to, you know, to play these games, which I think is like absolutely just amazing because it's you know, for them it's like maybe they're not as mobile, but you don't have to be super mobile to play these games on Wii Sports.
There was a good chunk of time there where like my uncle would go over to my parents' house, and then even if I was living there or if I moved out, but I came back to see them, we would all get together and play just round after round of golf.
Yeah.
And at this point, like the first golf, I think only had 9 holes. And then when they got the Wii Sports Resort, that added another 9. It was a full 18. And we would just spend the day playing 18 holes. Sometimes we'd be like, hey, there's still daylight. Want to go another 18? We would do 2 rounds back to back. And like a lot of people, eventually you could game the system like with bowling. You would sit in a chair and you would just swing your arm.
Yeah, like
or
you
something.
would find that, but it didn't even matter though. Like you still have so much fun.
But like with us, we would get up, we would move the chairs out of the way, and then you would sit there like you're on the tee box, and you would just full motion, full swing your arm, and like you said, it got everybody up and out and doing some type of exercise.
Yeah,
some
I do
type of
remember a
swinging.
handful of times where I played at your house with your parents I think we played probably golf and maybe bowling or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, so that's the thing is, I think it's funny to me because I feel like Wii Sports is the best showcase of the motion controls, and it was like the first game that they ever released.
Yeah.
Because everything else, like, you know, some games had to shoehorn them in or it just didn't work. Some games did it better than others. Like, I really like Metroid Prime 3's Corruption's use of the Wiimotes and motion
That was a
controls,
good one,
right?
yeah.
But Wii Sports is like the best way to play the Wii. I think it's just the best showcase for how the motion controls work.
And maybe it's the size of the Wiimote or what not, but like Switch obviously still had the Wii Motion and they had the Switch Sports and everything, but it just didn't hit the same because like you have the little tiny Joy-Cons in your hand. And
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I really feel like that. Because you know, also the Switch is portable by nature, so they had to design it for that. But I think they probably intentionally designed the Wiimote to be comfortable, be held in your hand that way with the wrist strap because they knew that you're not going to. Maybe most people may not be marathoning this thing for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But for the time you're playing it, which could be an hour-long session depending on the game, 2 hours, it should be comfortable. So I'm sure they designed it in such a way to do that. Because also they had the
The little grips.
Yeah, the grips, like the
rubber-
little rubber silicone
Yeah.
things you put over it for more grip because people were throwing them in the TVs, right?
Not only grip, but protection when you threw them at a TV.
It's funny thing that was also a phenomenon for a little bit there. All the stores coming out.
Make sure your Wii condom is on.
Yeah, your Wii prophylactic. Your Wii lactic. That's great. All right, Deucy. Well, I think we're finally at the end of our launch game spectacular here.
This was fun.
It was a good time. I was going to say, like, we covered a lot of games and a lot of memories in here, and it's just, again, it's interesting to kind of examine these things as they go through time chronologically. With the Atari 2600, it's released in 1977, and its sort of launch lineup, and seeing as launch lineups evolved over time, and now...
You know what I was surprised with the Atari 2600? Frogger wasn't a launch.
It should have been,
right?
But same thing. It's like, I also wonder because, the whole thing is one of the things that led to the game crash was just how saturated the gaming market was.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious, like, after September 11th, 1977, how many games came out? And where like Frogger, Pac-Man, all those games fell in because, if the industry kind of crashed around 83, that's 6 years of games. And they probably had, I don't know, 1,000+ games. Who knows how many? I don't even know how big the library is for 2600.
It's kind of funny, like, a lot of game life or a lot of system life is about 6 years or so. So it feels like Atari 2600 was living its natural life, but they didn't know about moving on to the next one.
No, they had no idea.
So they just kept flooding the market with games, and they didn't realize maybe we should take the next step. And then they crashed it.
Well, yeah, because then you have to figure too. There was like the 2600, the 5200, and then 7800, which I don't know where they fall in the timeline either. Because
I feel like 7800 was already after Nintendo or Famicom was out.
Right, it had to be. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I should look up that timeline because that'd be an interesting thing to kind of look at too. But anyway, going like the launch stuff, it's interesting to see what they were in 1977, how those launch lineups evolved. And like you kind of see like how the ebb and flow of things are. Like you had those killer apps like Halo, Mario 64, and where we're at now, where like we just talked about, where it's like it's not so much about the exclusive killer app. It's more about like having a variety and like a breadth of games. And some games in the future may just launch with a bunch of like service games. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
Here's some graphical updates.
Yeah, exactly. Download them now if you can.
Yeah.
All right, friends, if anyone out there listening has any favorite launch games or just wants to shoot the shit to us about some games, you can reach out to us at LegionGamingPod@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram at Legion Gaming Podcast and a little bit on Blue Sky at LegionGamingPod.bsky.social. Deucy, any friends for friends who are going to be launching off? Is that what I said?
Yes.
I'm losing my mind. What time is it right now? It's not even that late. We've just been going on a while. Do you have any final words for our friends listening out there who are now listening and saying, what the hell is he talking about?
Press start to put Dawn in sleep mode.